Synthetic telepathy in the early mind wars. Richard Allen Miller, C2001. drrm@magic.net. www.nwbotanicals.org. Presented at the Consciousness Technologies Conference, July 19 to 21, 2001, on Saturday, July 20, 2001, in Sisters, or http://www.bluehoney.org/ct2001gallery.htm right bracket. Introduction. I first became aware of Alan Frey's work at Willow Grove in 1972, just after completing the holographic concept of reality. I was working with Dr. Carl Schaecher, MRU, at the time, and was asked about the significance of this work. Realizing its possible use in mind control, my first reaction was to go on red alert. Full significance was not yet understood at this time. Basically, Frey had discovered another sensory motor input in the higher blue band frequencies of 0.3 to 3.0 GHz. At very low amplitudes of power. It was as if we had another type of vision, but did not know how to see what was being received. It constituted the next generation of subliminal communications. My work at the time was involved with an AI database for paranormal references, Project Paraphile. A second paper was also presented at the Omniversal Symposium, California State College at Sonoma, September 29, 1973. This was titled Embryonic Holography, and was an application of the holographic concept of reality model. It dealt with biogenesis and neurological regeneration, and included speculation on the origins of cancer, faith healing, psychic surgery and more technical aspects of mind-body energetics. 1 week after the delivery of that paper, 4 men came into my place of business, 2 in suits and 2 in full army dress. The 2 suits held me under close arrest, while the 2 army personnel went through my files, pulling anything related to embryonic holography. The paper was rewritten from old notes and memory, but it was not the same. What got this paper classified top secret for almost 20 years was that it was critical for the use of Alan Frey's study, and its possible application to mind control. I never was able to draw what was so important in that initial paper until I began researching this paper, more than 24 years later. I will discuss those aspects further into this document. In 1961, Alan Frey, a freelance biophysicist and engineering psychologist, reported that humans could hear microwaves. Most United States scientists dismissed this discovery as the result of outside noise. James Seelin offered a more technical description of the experiment. Frey found that human subjects exposed to 1310 MHz and 2982 MHz microwaves at average power densities of 0.4 to 2 MW/cm2 perceived auditory sensations described as buzzing or knocking sounds. The sensation occurred instantaneously at average incident power densities well below that necessary for known biological damage and appeared to originate from within or near the back of the head. Pulsed microwave technology. Pulsed microwave voice-to-skull, or other sound-to-skull, transmission was discovered during World War II by radar technicians who found they could hear the buzz of the train of pulses being transmitted by radar equipment they were working on. This phenomenon has been studied extensively by Dr. Alan Frey, Willow Grove, 1965, whose work has been published in a number of reference books. What Dr. Frey found was that single pulses of microwave could be heard by some people as pops or clicks, while a train of uniform pulses could be heard as a buzz, without benefit of any type of receiver. Dr. Frey also found that a wide range of frequencies, as low as 125 MHz, well below microwave, worked for some combination of pulse power and pulse width. Detailed unclassified studies mapped out those frequencies and pulse characteristics which are optimum for generation of microwave hearing. Very significantly, when discussing electronic mind control, is the fact that the peak pulse power required is modest, something like 0.3 watts per square centimeter of skull surface, and that this power level is only applied or needed for a very small percentage of each pulse's cycle time. 0.3 watts/SQCM is about what you get under a 250-watt heat lamp at a distance of 1 meter. It is not a lot of power. When you take into account that the pulse train is off, no signal, for most of each cycle, the average power is so low as to be nearly undetectable. This is the concept of spike waves used in radar and other military forms of communication. Frequencies that act as voice-to-skull carriers are not single frequencies, as, for example, TV or cell phone channels. Each sensitive frequency is actually a range or band of frequencies. A technology used to reduce both interference and detection is called spread spectrum. Spread spectrum signals usually have the carrier frequency hop around within a specified band. Unless a receiver knows this hop schedule in advance, like other forms of encryption, there is virtually no chance of receiving or detecting a coherent readable signal. Spectrum analyzers, used for detection, are receivers with a screen. A spread spectrum signal received on a spectrum analyzer appears as just more static or noise. The actual method of the first successful unclassified voice-to-skull experiment was in 1974, by Dr. Joseph C. Sharp and Mark Grove, then at the Walter Reed Army Institute of Research. A Fray-type audible pulse was transmitted every time the voice waveform passed down through the zero axis, a technique easily duplicated by ham radio operators who build their own equipment. The sensation is reported as a buzzing, clicking, or hissing which seems to originate within or just behind the head. The phenomenon occurs with carrier densities as low as microwatts per square centimeter with carrier frequencies from 0.3 to 3.0 GHz. By proper choice of pulse characteristics, intelligent speech may be created. Dr. James Lin of Wayne State University has written a book entitled, Microwave Auditory Effects and Applications. It explores the possible mechanisms for the phenomenon, and discusses possibilities for the deaf, as persons with certain types of hearing loss can still hear pulsed microwaves, as tones or clicks and buzzes, if words aren't modulated on. Lin mentions the Sharp and Grove experiment and comments, the capability of communicating directly with humans by pulsed microwaves is obviously not limited to the field of therapeutic medicine. Synthetic telepathy. In 1975, researcher A.W. Guy stated that one of the most widely observed and accepted biologic effects of low average power electromagnetic energy is the auditory sensation evoked in man when exposed to pulsed microwaves. He concluded that at frequencies where the auditory effect can be easily detected, microwaves penetrate deep into the tissues of the head, causing rapid thermal expansion, at the microscopic level only, that produces strains in the brain tissue. An acoustic stress wave is then conducted through the skull to the cochlea, and from there, it proceeds in the same manner as in conventional hearing. It is obvious that receiver-less radio has not been adequately publicized or explained because of national security concerns. Today, the ability to remotely transmit microwave voices inside a target's head is known inside the Pentagon as synthetic telepathy. According to Dr. Robert Becker, synthetic telepathy has applications in covert operations designed to drive a target crazy with voices or deliver undetected instructions to a programmed assassin. This technology may have contributed to the deaths of 25 defense scientists variously employed by Marconi Underwater and Defense Systems, ESMS, and GEC. Most of the scientists worked on highly sensitive electronic warfare programs for NATO, including the Strategic Defense Initiative. It is claimed that directed energy weapons might have been used to literally drive these men to suicide in 291 accidents. Biological amplification. Using microwave band frequencies. The next major development in ELF weaponry was the concept of a biological amplification of these signals at the cell level to perpetuate and set up resonance for more sophisticated information transfer. This was the beginning of using more than one technology in a stack to do something more. While this was implied, it was never developed in the holographic concept of reality. Electromagnetic fields or relatively weak power levels can affect intercellular communication. Bioamplification is apparently why radio signals of very low average power, MW, can produce audio effects, and is difficult to detect. Electromagnetic interaction with biological systems, ed. Dr. James C. Lynn, University of Illinois, 1989, Plenum Press, New York. Imposed weak low-frequency fields, and radio frequency fields, that are many orders of magnitude weaker in the pericellular fluid between adjacent cells, than the membrane potential gradient, voltage across the membrane, can modulate the action of hormones, antibody neurotransmitters, and cancer-promoting molecules at their cell surface receptor sites. These ELF sensitivities appear to involve non-equilibrium and highly cooperative processes that mediate a major amplification of initial weak triggers associated with the binding of these molecules, specific cell surface receptor sites. Membrane amplification is inherent in this transmembrane signaling sequence. Initial stimuli associated with weak perpendicular M fields and with binding of stimulating molecules at their membrane receptor sites elicit a highly cooperative modification of Ca++ binding to glycoproteins along the membrane. A longitudinal spread is consistent with the direction of extracellular current flow associated with physiological activity and imposed M fields. This cooperative modification of surface Ca++ binding is an amplifying stage. By imposing RF fields, there is a far greater increase in Ca++ efflux than is accounted for in the events of receptor-ligand binding. From imposing RF fields, enzymes are protein molecules that function as catalysts, initiating and enhancing chemical reactions that would not otherwise occur at tissue temperatures. This ability resides in the pattern of electrical charges on the molecular surface. Activation of these enzymes and the reactions in which they participate involve energies millions of times greater than in the cell surface, triggering events initiated by the M fields, emphasizing the membrane amplification inherent in this transmembrane signaling sequence. Frey and Messenger confirmed that a microwave pulse with a slow rise time was ineffectual in producing an auditory response. Only if the rise time is short, resulting in effect in a square wave with respect to the leading edge of the envelope of radiated radio frequency energy, does the auditory response occur. This is why we don't hear ordinary radio and TV signals. The significance of embryonic holography now becomes more understandable. For example, the specific frequency bands, 0.3 to 3.0 Hz, are so flat as to appear almost two-dimensional to most biological processes on a semi-quantum mechanical level. This means that these frequencies can be seen as scalar in their possible interaction with specific brain processes. What these frequencies really are, however, are actual holograms of specific thoughts. They have a third component of detail, much like the patented P300 wave. This means that a hybrid form of brain fingerprinting is now possible. And, once these images are stored, usually in a very sophisticated supercooled computer, similar responses can be fed back to the person, inducing virtually any state desired, via entrainment protocols. Silent sound technology, S-Quad. Silent, converted to voice FM, hypnosis can be transmitted using a voice frequency modulator to generate the voice. It is a steady tone, near the high end of hearing range. 15,000 Hz, plus a hypnotist's voice, varying from 300 to 4,000 Hz. These two signals are frequency modulated. The output now appears as a steady tone, like tinnitus, but with hypnosis embedded. The FM voice controls the timing of the transmitter's pulse. Each vertical line is one short pulse of microwave signal at a frequency to which the human brain is sensitive. Timing of each microwave pulse is controlled by each downslope crossing of the voice wave. Sharp's method, 1974. Then the brain converts the train of microwave pulses back to an audible voice. There is no conscious defense possible against this form of hypnosis. Ordinary radio and TV signals use a smooth waveform called a sine wave. This wave signal cannot normally penetrate the voltage gradient across the nerve cell walls. Radar signals consist of very short and powerful pulses of sine wave type signals, and can penetrate the steep voltage gradient across these nerve cell walls. Alan H. Frey, Cornell University, 1962. Differences in osmosis of ions, dissolved salt components, cause a small voltage difference across cell walls. When a small voltage appears across a very tiny distance, the change in voltage is called very steep. It is this steep gradient that keeps normal radio signals from throwing us into convulsions. The mind-altering mechanism is based on a subliminal carrier technology, the silent sound spread spectrum, SSSS, sometimes called S-Quad or SQUAD. It was developed by Dr. Oliver Lowry of Norcross, Georgia, and is described in U.S. Patent No. 5,159,703, Silent Subliminal Presentation System, dated October 27, 1992. The abstract for the patent reads: a silent communications system in which non-aural carriers, in the very low or very high audio frequency range or in the adjacent ultrasonic frequency spectrum, are amplitude or frequency modulated with the desired intelligence and propagated acoustically or vibrationally, for inducement into the brain, typically through the use of loudspeakers, earphones, or piezoelectric transducers. The modulated carriers may be transmitted directly in real time or may be conveniently recorded and stored on mechanical, magnetic, or optical media for delayed or repeated transmission to the listener. According to literature by Silence Sounds, Inc., it is now possible, using supercomputers, to analyze human emotional EEG patterns and replicate them, then store these emotion signature clusters on another computer and, at will, silently induce and change the emotional state in a human being. Edward Tilton, president of Silence Sounds, Inc., says this about S-Quad in a letter dated December 13, 1996. All schematics, however, have been classified by the U.S. government and we are not allowed to reveal the exact details. We make tapes and CDs for the German government, even the former Soviet Union countries. All with the permission of the U.S. State Department, of course. The system was used throughout Operation Desert Storm, Iraq, quite successfully. Induced alpha to theta biofeedback cluster movement is an output from the world's most versatile and most sensitive electroencephalograph, EEG, machine. This device has a gain capability of 200,000, as compared to most other EEG machines, with gain capability of 50,000. It is software driven by the fastest of computers using a noise nulling technology similar to that used by nuclear submarines for detecting small objects underwater at extreme range. The purpose of all this high technology is to plot and display a moving cluster of periodic brainwave signals. The illustration shows an EEG display from a single individual, taken of left and right hemispheres simultaneously. This technology is very similar to that used to generate P300 waves. Cloning the emotions. By using these computer-enhanced EEGs, scientists can identify and isolate the brain's low-amplitude emotion signature clusters, synthesize them and store them on another computer. In other words, by studying the subtle characteristic brainwave patterns that occur when a subject experiences a particular emotion, scientists have been able to identify the concomitant brainwave pattern and can now duplicate it. These clusters are then placed on the silent sound trademark carrier frequencies and will silently trigger the occurrence of the same basic emotion in another human being. Regarding system delivery and applications, there is a lot more involved here than a simple subliminal sound system. There are numerous patented technologies that can be piggybacked individually or collectively onto a carrier frequency to elicit all kinds of effects. There appear to be two methods of delivery with the system. One is direct microwave induction into the brain of the subject, limited to short-range operations. The other, as described above, utilizes ordinary radio and television carrier frequencies. Far from necessarily being used as a weapon against a person, the system does have limitless positive applications. However, the fact that the sounds are subliminal makes them virtually undetectable and possibly dangerous to the general public. In more conventional use, the silent sounds subliminal system might utilize voice commands, e.g., as an adjunct to security systems. Beneath the musical broadcast that you hear in stores and shopping malls may be a hidden message that exhorts against shoplifting. And while voice commands alone are powerful, when the subliminal presentation system carries cloned emotional signatures, the result is overwhelming. Free market uses for this technology are the common self-help tapes, positive affirmation, relaxation and meditation tapes, as well as methods to increase learning capabilities. But there is strong evidence that this technology is being developed toward global mind control. The secrecy involved in the development of the electromagnetic mind-altering technology reflects the tremendous power that is inherent in it. To put it bluntly, whoever controls this technology can control the minds of men, all men. There is evidence that the U.S. government has plans to extend the range of this technology to envelop all peoples, all countries. This can be accomplished, and is being accomplished, by utilizing the nearly completed HARP project for overseas areas and the GWEN network now in place in the U.S. The U.S. government denies all this. Dr. Michael Persinger is a professor of psychology and neuroscience at Laurentian University, Ontario, Canada. His work and findings indicate that strong electromagnetic fields can and will affect a person's brain. Temporal lobe stimulation can evoke the feeling of a presence, disorientation, and perceptual irregularities. It can activate images stored in the subject's memory, including nightmares and monsters that are normally suppressed. Mind-reading devices. Alan Yu, a former lieutenant colonel in the Taiwan National Defense Department, says that the United States has not only developed an operational mind control machine, but has also distributed models for use by allied countries. Yu states that such machines pose a great threat to human rights and the American way of life. He calls the device the mind-reading machine, mind machine. Yu writes that there are two sources of information detailing the existence of the mind-reading machine. The first evidence, in the 1970s, the South China Morning Post reported that the University of Maryland had invented a thought-reading machine. The original purpose of this invention was to help authorities investigate severe car accidents. It was to be used on people who were severely injured to get their accounts of how the accidents occurred. In the spring of 1984, Yu was a lieutenant colonel serving in the National Defense Department of Taiwan. At that time, Yu read a classified document from the department that he serviced under. The document said the Military Police Department of Taiwan had purchased several of the mind-reading machines from the United States. In Taiwan, it was called Psychological Language Machine. The document was a request to the United States for parts to repair several malfunctioning machines. The machine allegedly uses microwaves to deliver spoken messages directly to the human brain, as well as using radio waves to hypnotize people or change their thoughts. Yu reports that before he left, this machine had become the most effective weapon for the security departments of Taiwan. In 1993, Defense News announced that the Russian government was discussing with American counterparts the transfer of technical information and equipment known as acoustic psychocorrection. The Russians claimed that this device involves the transmission of specific commands via static or white noise bands into the human subconscious without upsetting other intellectual functions. Demonstrations of this equipment have shown encouraging results after exposure of less than 1 minute and have produced the ability to alter behavior on unwilling subjects. A U.S. Department of Defense medical engineer claimed in 1989 that the U.S. and Israel had regularly used microwaves to condition and control the minds of Palestinians. Unclassified ELF-type weapons. Remote physical manipulation, not covered in this document. At time of writing, that technology appears to be classified. Transmission methods for neuroaffective signals. This includes pulsed microwave, i.e., like radar signals, and ultrasound and voice FM, transmitted through the air. Also known as synthetic telepathy. While transmission of speech, dating from the early 1970s, was the first use of pulsed microwave, neuroaffective signals can now cause many other nerve groups to become remotely actuated. That specific technology is classified. Pavlovian hypnotic triggers. A Pavlovian hypnotic trigger is a phrase or any sensory cue that the subject is programmed to involuntarily act in a certain way. Gultra survivors can still be triggered from programming done decades ago. One of the main goals of the institutional/drug/child abuse phases of the CIA Gultra atrocities, 1950s through 1970s, was to implant triggers using a twilight state, half-conscious, medication and tape-recorded hypnosis. The ultimate goal was to have the acting out of Pavlovian triggers erased from the victim's memory. These triggers are now planted using either of the above two transmission methods, but with the words moved up just above, or near the top of, the audible frequency range. The result is that hypnotic triggers are planted without the subject being aware. This technology was used in the Gulf War as silence sound. Through wall surveillance methods, this includes top end of microwave, near infrared, and the so-called millimeter wave scanning. This method uses the very top end of the microwave radio signal spectrum just below infrared. To view small objects or people clearly, the highest frequency that will penetrate non-conductive or poorly conductive walls is used. Millimeter wave scanning radar can be used in two modes. The first is passive, no radiated signal, and uses background radiation already in the area to be scanned. It is totally undetectable. The active system uses a low-power millimeter wave flashlight attached to the scanner. Thought reading. Thought reading can be classed as a form of through-wall surveillance technology. In the unclassified and commercial realms, it is called through-skull microwave reading, and magnetic skull proximity reading. Brain entrainment. This involves moods and sleep states, the reverse of biofeedback. The low-frequency electrical brain rhythms are characteristics of various moods and states of sleep. Not only can they now be read out using biofeedback equipment or EEG machines, but also radio, sound, contact electrodes, or flashing lights. These moods and sleep states can be generated or at least encouraged using brain entrainment devices. Brain entrainment signals cannot carry voice, which is a much higher frequency range. Brain entrainment can, however, be used to set up a target to make him/her more susceptible to hypnosis. Implantation, no longer required. Specific ELF weapons. Ultrasound and voice FM, main advantage in mind control work is that it can carry verbal hypnosis, more potent than simple biorhythm entrainment. An example is Chicago's airport terminal connection tunnels and their Keep Walking. Steady tone, near the high end of hearing range, 15,000 Hz. Hypnotist's voice, varying from 300 to 4,000 Hz, fed into a frequency modulator, where the voice controls the frequency. Output is now a steady tone, sounding like tinnitus, but with hypnosis embedded. While the brain can hear and understand, the ear only hears a tone or a rush. Acoustic heterodyne. American Technologies Corp. 13114 Evening Creek Drive, S. San Diego, California 92128. Through-wall radar, millimeter wave through clothing, through luggage is currently in use at airports. Millimeter wave scanners can be purchased from Millivision Corp. Northampton, MA. www.millivision.com. Thought readings. Thought reading is an enhanced version of computer speech recognition, with EEG waves being substituted for sound waves. The easiest thought reading is actually remote picking up of the electromagnetic activity of the speech control muscles. When we say words to ourselves, silently, or read a book, we can actually feel the slight sensations of those words in our vocal muscles. All that is absent is the passage of air. Coordinated speech signals are relatively strong and relatively consistent. We are fed hypnotic signals to force consistent neutral content, but of different character than prior to becoming test subjects, in dreams. These forced, neutral content, bland content, dreams occur every single night and may represent the experimenter's efforts to have our experiences portray themselves in such dreams, in effect, mining our experiences. www.raven1.net/lkvisn.htm confirms the ability of current unclassified technology to actually see what a living animal sees, electronically. It is therefore extremely likely that these forced dreams can be displayed on the experimenter's screens in an adjacent apartment or adjacent house, which are made obvious to the involuntary experimentee. Implants. Implants can either receive instructions via radio signals, passing them to the brain, or can be interrogated via external radio signals to read brain activity at a distance. Since implants for beneficial purposes are actively being promoted by NIH, it is obvious they will not disappear anytime soon. Thermal gun, seizure gun, and magnetophosphine gun evokes a visual response and is thought to be centered in the retina, as seen in the movies GoldenEye, Broken Arrow, Escape from L.A., and Eraser. The popular video Waco, The Big Lie Continues shows video footage of 3M weapons being used during the confrontation. Silent subliminals. Altered States Ltd. P.O. Box 68-344 Newton, Auckland, New Zealand. Ph. plus 64-9-815-5095 or plus 64-9-815-5059. Fax, plus 64-9-815-5067. Altered at ihug.co.nz. www.altered-cgi-bin/reload.cgi-circumflex/sub/silent.htm. From their brochure. Only your mind can hear. Your ears hear nothing, but your mind hears and accepts the powerful suggestions. You can safely play these tapes anywhere, in a car, while watching TV or listening to your favorite music, while working or even as silent sleep programming. Warning: everyone within listening range of the tape will be programmed by the suggestions. To assure yourself that strong suggestions are recorded on the tape, take it to any Radio Shack store, play it on their stereo and read the output with a Radio Shack sound level meter, item 33 to 2050. How to use the tapes: increase the volume until it is just below any tape noise. If your stereo deck has treble and bass controls, you can boost the subliminal output by increasing the treble and decreasing the bass. The player then emits a strong but inaudible frequency, modulated 60 to 90 decibel signal that is received and demodulated by the human ear. Technical information: the suggestions are delivered on a carrier frequency of 14,800 CPS, via a low distortion sine wave signal. This frequency is slightly above the audible hearing range, but the frequency modulated, FM, signal is still strongly impinging upon the diaphragm of the ear. The listener can expect his subconscious mind to accept the suggestions with repeated listening. How to use the tapes: increase the volume until it is just below any tape noise. If your stereo deck has treble and bass controls, you can boost the subliminal output by increasing the treble and decreasing the bass. The player then emits a strong but inaudible frequency modulated 60 to 90 decibel signal that is received and demodulated by the human ear. The silent subliminals is a new brain/mind technology developed by an aerospace engineer. This new technique has been licensed to Valley of the Sun Audio/Video for this incredible new tape series. Patent pending. Note: because the frequency is beyond normal recording range, the tape cannot be duplicated. Examples of suggestions: every day you become thinner and thinner. You now lose weight and fulfill your goals. You attain your weight goals and the body you desire. You have the power and ability to attain the perfect weight and body you desire. You have the self-discipline to lose all the weight you want. You live a healthy lifestyle and eat a proper diet. You now quit smoking because it serves you. You lose all desire to smoke. You accept that you now quit smoking. You are a non-smoker. Quit smoking. Quit smoking. Quit smoking. You have the willpower to do anything you want to do. You have great self-discipline and you use it to quit smoking. Cigarettes disgust you. You are very sure of yourself. You accept that you have great inner courage. You are self-reliant and self-confident. You are full of independence and determination. You have great inner courage. Every day in every way, you become more and more self-confident. You feel good about yourself. You project a very positive self-image. You are relaxed and at ease. You detach from worldly pressures and experience an inner calm. Negativity flows through you without affecting you. You accept other people as they are. You peacefully accept the things you cannot change, and change the things you can. You are at peace with yourself, the world and everyone in it. Your mind is like calm water. You direct your time and energy to manifest your desires. You have the self-discipline to accomplish your personal and professional goals. Every day, you increase your self-discipline. You do what you need to do and stop doing what doesn't work. You freely choose to do what you need to do. You are assertive and feel good about yourself. You now focus your energy upon attaining success. You know exactly what you want and you go for it. You can accomplish whatever you set out to do. Be ultra successful. Be ultra successful and become wealthy. Every day in every way, you become more successful. Your creative thinking opens the door to monetary abundance. You easily achieve and maintain a penile erection. Your body performs perfectly during sex without thinking about it. A hard, firm erection is your natural response to sexual stimulation. You can make love for a long before you ejaculate. Every day you feel better about your sexual prowess and your ability to achieve and maintain a hard, firm erection. Acoustic spotlight can target one person in crowd. Posted by F. Joseph Pompei, MIT Media Lab. http://sound.media.mit.edu/Pompei/spotlight. Usage: the audio spotlight can be used in two major ways: as directed audio, sound is directed at a specific listener or area, to provide a private or area-specific listening space. As projected audio, sound is projected against a distant object, creating an audio image. This audio image is literally a projected loudspeaker. Sound appears to come directly from the projection, just like light. The audio spotlight consists of a thin, circular transducer array and a specially designed signal processor and amplifier. The transducer is about half an inch thick, non-magnetic, and lightweight. The signal processor and amplifier are integrated into a unit about the same size as a traditional audio amplifier, and have similar power requirements. Technology: because it is impossible to generate extremely narrow beams of audible sound without extremely large loudspeaker arrays, we instead generate the sound indirectly, using the nonlinearity of the air to convert a narrow beam of ultrasound into a highly directive, audible beam of sound. The device transmits a narrow beam of ultrasound, blue, which, due to the inherent nonlinearity of the air itself, distorts, changes shape, very slightly as it travels. This distortion creates, along with new ultrasonic frequencies, audible artifacts, green, that can be mathematically predicted, and therefore controlled. By constructing the proper ultrasonic beam, this nonlinearity can be used to create, within the beam itself, an audible sound beam containing any sound desired. This is presently done in real time using low-cost circuitry, a specially designed amplifier, and transducers developed at MIT specifically for this project. Hyperdirectivity: the directivity, or narrowness, of an acoustic wave generated by a circular transducer is proportional to the ratio of the diameter of the transducer to the wavelength of the sound. So a transducer much larger than the wavelength of the sound creates a very narrow beam. Audible sound contains wavelengths reaching lengths of several feet, so a reasonably sized loudspeaker will always produce a very wide, non-directional source at lower frequencies. The audio spotlight, in contrast, outputs short, millimeter-sized ultrasonic waves, which form a very narrow beam even in a small transducer, which in turn generates audible sound. The nature of the nonlinear transformation also essentially eliminates side lobes in the resulting beam, and maintains relatively uniform directivity across the entire audible frequency range. The figure above, from American Technologies Corp., compares the directivity of the audio spotlight, yellow, to that of an ordinary loudspeaker, purple, at 400 Hz. Note that the directivity of the audio spotlight is only 3 degrees, compared to the essentially omnidirectional directivity of the loudspeaker. In order to obtain such narrow directivity from a traditional loudspeaker system, one would need a loudspeaker array 50 meters across. A loudspeaker is like a light bulb, but the audio spotlight is like a laser. History: the use of nonlinear interaction of high-frequency sound to generate directive low-frequency sound sources has been a well-researched subject in the field of underwater acoustics since the early 1960s. Often misattributed to so-called Tartini tones, the effect is more accurately described as a parametric array, a term introduced by Westervelt. In the past several decades, many underwater sonar researchers have used the effect to generate directive low-frequency sonar beams, detect underwater sound, parametric receiving array, and extend the bandwidth of underwater transducers. The first published demonstration of an airborne parametric array was in 1975 by Bennett and Blackstock. Rather than using inaudible ultrasound, they instead used very intense, high-frequency audible sound to produce simple difference tones. While their goal was not a practical audio reproduction device, they nonetheless effectively demonstrated that the parametric array would work in air in addition to underwater. Life Assessment Detector System, LADS. The Life Assessment Detector System, LADS, a microwave Doppler movement measuring device, can detect human body surface motion, including heartbeat and respiration, at ranges up to 135 feet, 41.15 meters. The primary function of the LADs is to provide a reliable method by which medical and emergency personnel can locate personnel buried in building collapses or injured on the military battlefield. LADs can detect such signs of life as movement, heartbeat, or respiration. Originally designed to detect heartbeat and respiration of military personnel wearing chemical biological warfare protective overgarments, the LADS has been restructured, greatly increasing its operational range and providing a means for eliminating nuisance alarms which could mimic human life signs, such as fans, wind drafts, or swaying trees. This is accomplished through neural network technology, which trains the system to recognize human motion and heartbeat/respiration functions. If these functions are not detected, the reasonable assumption is that there are no survivors. Operating under such an assumption, the rescue team can now proceed without fear of further loss of life, i.e., rescue and medical personnel and equipment can be deployed more effectively and efficiently. The LADS consists of a sensor module, a neural network module, and a control/monitor module. The sensor module is an X-band, 10 GHz, microwave transceiver with a nominal output power of 15 mW, operating in the continuous wave, CW, mode. The neural network module device can store many complex patterns such as visual waveforms and speech templates, and can easily compare input patterns to previously trained or stored patterns. The control/monitor module provides the LADS instrument controls, such as on-off switches, circuit breakers, and battery condition, as well as motion, heartbeat waveform, pulse strength, and pulse rate displays. LADS provides life assessment capabilities for people who are trapped in building rubble, battlefield casualties in a chemical/biological warfare environment, victims of airline, train, or automobile crashes, trapped in an avalanche or mudslide, trapped on a mountain ledge, trapped under a collapsed tent structure, or hostages being held in a non-metallic room. For more information about the LADS, send email to info@vsccorp.com. Radar flashlight. The National Institute of Justice, NIJ, through the Joint Justice Defense Program Steering Group, JPSG, is sponsoring Georgia Tech Research Institute, GTRI, in developing inexpensive, handheld, low-power radar that will enable law officers to detect individuals through interior building walls. It works by sensing the motion of an individual's chest when they breathe. GTRI is currently designing and refining the first prototype unit. A laboratory test area has been constructed consisting of a section of home siding and drywall, a wooden front door, and a section of brick and mortar. It also demonstrated the ability to detect an individual through the laboratory's cinder block walls. GTRI is working to combine the two parts of this device into a single unit. NIJ plans on demonstrating the radar flashlight with law enforcement agencies through its National Law Enforcement and Corrections Technology Center, NLEC, Southeast Regional Center, before the end of 1999. Dr. Pete Nachi, Project Manager. 703-351-8821. pnachi@darpa.mil. Millivision radar millimeter wave camera picks up both metallic and plastic concealed handguns. Between microwave and infrared lies the millimeter wave band. This little heralded portion of the electromagnetic spectrum turns out to be perfect for remote frisking. Militech Corp has designed a camera to accomplish just that. The idea calls for measuring the time delay and intensity of millimeter wave energy that radiates naturally. At millimeter wavelengths, people are good emitters, while metals are very poor. Dielectric objects, such as plastics, ceramics, and powdered drugs, are somewhere in between. Clothing and building materials, such as wallboard, are virtually transparent. http://www.millivision.com. Ground, or home/apartment wall, penetrating radar. Patriot Scientific Corporation has developed radar technologies with a wide range of possible applications. A pulse generator is used to drive the transmit antenna. The pulse is a positive spike going up to 100 V, then falling back to ground in 1.5 nanoseconds, corresponding to a pulse transmit frequency of 750 MHz. The return signal is read by the receive antenna. At this point, some simple analog processing is done and the signal is digitized at a resolution of 6 GHz, and sent to a PC. The PC correlates the data into a conventional waveform, does some processing, and then transmits the data over an Ethernet cable to a Pentium workstation, not shown. The Pentium workstation is used to apply different digital filters, combine waveforms, and display the results. This system can be used to demonstrate detection of small targets buried in sand, people behind walls, and other targets. Patriot has used its antenna system to demonstrate detection of objects as small as a Coke buried in sand, through a wall. Even small targets disturb the wavefront of the pulse, producing reflections and modifying the field in measurable ways. The key to Patriot's radar system is its ability to transmit and receive pulses barely longer than single cycles at the transmit frequency. The first waveform shown here is a pulse generated by an earlier Patriot design, based on off-the-shelf antenna technology. The waveform on the bottom was produced and received by Patriot's current design. The current Patriot antenna system produces a pulse at the desired frequency with little leading or trailing noise. The Patriot antenna system provides many advantages over pulse-based systems. Patriot originally developed the impulse radar system to allow time domain processing in Patriot's GPR systems. Because the impulse is extremely short, 3 nanoseconds, the time to return can be used to gauge the distance traveled by the pulse. Furthermore, the transmitter and receiver antennas are very directional, eliminating much of the multipath components of the return signal. The short pulses combined with the directional transmit and receive to provide us with a number of important advantages. Very low average power during transmission. Low interference from other transmitters. Transmission invisible to conventional receivers. High bandwidth digital data transmission possible. Difficult detection by other impulse receivers. Interference with other sources and receivers is further reduced by using directional antennas. The antenna design shown is highly directional. When penetrating the ground, we wish to eliminate as much of the multipath signal as possible. The directional antennas reduce the multipath signals detected to those that are relatively in line with the wave path, and eliminate much of the multipath signal that returns at odd angles. Impulse radar uses low power inherently because the transmissions occur in pulses separated by periods of no transmission. The power of the pulses is offset by the dead time between the pulses. The average output of the current system is about 300 microwatts. The low average power of an impulse system effectively hides the transmissions from conventional receivers. Interference can be further reduced in an impulse system by using random interval spacing. As long as the transmit and receive antennas are in sync, the period between pulses can be varied to prevent aliening with other continuous or pulse transmission systems that might be operating in the same locale. Furthermore, if an impulse system is being used to transmit data, varying the intervals between pulses prevents other impulse systems from locking onto the signal. Patriot Scientific's current GPR system does not use random interval spacing. Patriot Scientific Corporation. http://www.ptsc.com/radar/index.html. Commercial thought reading devices, the CyberLink Mind Mouse is a revolutionary hands-free computer controller which allows you to move and click a mouse cursor, play video games, create music, and control external devices, all without using your hands. A headband with 3 sensors detects electrical signals on the forehead resulting from subtle facial muscle, eye, and brain activity. This headband connects to an interface box that amplifies and digitizes the forehead signals and sends them to your computer. The CyberLink software decodes the forehead signals into 10 brain fingers for continuous cursor control. It also decodes eye motion and facial gestures into mouse button clicks, keystrokes, and cursor resolution control. With a little practice, most or all of these commands can be mastered to operate virtually all computer functions. By learning to change the energy levels of your brain fingers, you will be able to do just about anything on a computer, except turn it on. The CyberLink Mind Mouse supports hands-free mouse, keyboard, and joystick cursor control, switch closure, video game control, and music and art synthesis. The CyberLink Mind Mouse features a Windows 95 mouse driver for hands-free control of third-party software like games, business software, internet browsers, and a range of assistive technologies, such as the X10 home controller and special needs word processing and communication software, including WIVIK2, Words Plus, and Clicker Plus. The CyberLink Mind Mouse is priced at $1,495 US dollar, plus shipping. Free upgrades are included for 1 year. http://www.mindmouse.com. Hearing for the deaf. It was during these Frey studies that a profoundly important discovery was made. Deaf subjects often had the ability to hear radio frequency sound. The clinical criterion was that, if a given person could hear audio above 5 kHz higher range of a piano by bone or air conduction, then radio frequency sound could be heard as well. This and related work has resulted in the manufacture of radio frequency type hearing aids for the deaf, one of which is made by Listening, Inc., of Arlington, Massachusetts, and is known as the Neurophone Model GPF1. It operates at 100 kHz, about 5 times the normal maximum hearing frequency, and employs crystal control. These observations tie in with the fact that some individuals can detect radio programs through fillings in their teeth. This phenomenon was technically verified by interposing shields between respective people who exhibited this effect and the modulated radio frequency sources. When the lower half of the head was covered, including the maxillary dental area, the radio frequency sound was perceived. The sound ceased on covering the top half of the head. While the mechanism responsible for this phenomenon is only imperfectly understood, it can be assumed to be the result of direct cortical stimulation. In other words, even when the sound seems to be coming from the teeth, it is actually being directly received and interpreted in the brain, not the teeth. Some important historical developments. Brainwave detection. Some 40-odd years ago, university professor F. Kazim Ali started publishing papers on the subject of brainwave detection using radio signals and implied that he had detected radiations from the mind. He placed his subjects in a shielded room, or Faraday cage, emanated VHF radio waves through their heads, and claimed to have recorded beat frequencies obtained with an untuned receiver consisting of a galena crystal or diode tube, a fixed capacitor, an antenna, and a sensitive light beam galvanometer. A galvanometer is a voltmeter. Light beam types show up in physics labs and are one of the most sensitive types of voltmeter. The trouble is that Kazim Ali never mentioned transmitter power in his somewhat unprofessional papers. His oscillograms meant to show variations of the beat when his subjects were emotionally aroused or engaged in creative tasks when they were in the Faraday cage. Beat as used by Kazim Ali refers to EEG frequency, i.e., ELF, traces. Later he told an astounded world that his subjects would hallucinate when under the influence of his oscillatory telegraphica, its frequency being around 300 MHz at the time. Aviation radios are in this range. Tom Jaski, a noted science writer and engineer, duplicated some of Kazimali's work with a modern low-power oscillator that was swept from 300 MHz to 600 MHz. Cell phones start at over 900 MHz. His subjects could not see the dial. They were told to sound off as soon as they felt something unusual. At a certain frequency range, varying between 380 MHz and 500 MHz, the subjects repeatedly indicated points with exact accuracy in as many as 14 out of 15 trials. At these individual frequencies, the same subjects announced having experienced pulsing sensations in the brain, ringing in the ears, and an odd desire to bite the experimenters. The oscillator's output power was only a few milliwatts, while the oscillator itself was located several feet away from the subjects. Any experimenters out there want to try this? Milliwatts are quite safe for short-term experiments. Kids' walkie-talkies are 50 to 100 milliwatts, for example. Lita machine, 1960 Soviet device that bombards brains with low-frequency radio waves. Now with Dr. Ross Adey, Chief of Research, Veterans Hospital, Loma Linda, CA. Low-frequency square-wave modulation of a radio frequency field. It was developed by L. Rubishev and his colleagues in Soviet Armenia, for the treatment of neuropsychic and somatic disorders, such as neuroses, psychoses, insomnia, hypertension, stammering, bronchial asthma, and asthenic and reactive disturbances. U.S. Patent Number 3,773,049. The radio frequency field has a nominal carrier frequency of 40 MHz and a maximum output of approximately 40 watts. The E field is applied to the patient on the side of neck through two disc electrodes approximately 10 cm in diameter. The electrodes are located at a distance of 2 to 4 cm from the skin. The radio signal appears to be the primary cause of the sleep/trance effect. Optimal repetition frequencies are said to lie in the range from 40 to 80 pulses per minute. Voice to Skull, 1974. The demonstration of sonic transduction of microwave energy by materials lacking in water lessens the likelihood that a thermohydraulic principle is operating in human perception of the energy. Nonetheless, some form of thermoacoustic transduction probably underlies perception. If so, it is clear that simple heating is not a sufficient basis for the Frey effect. The requirement for pulsing of radiations appears to implicate a thermodynamic principle. Frey and Messenger, 1973, and Guy, Joe, Lin, and Christensen, 1975, confirmed that a microwave pulse with a slow rise time is ineffective in producing an auditory response, only if the rise time is short, resulting in effect in a square wave with respect to the leading edge of the envelope of radiated radio frequency energy, does the auditory response occur. Thus the rate of change, the first derivative, of the waveform of the pulse is a critical factor in perception. Given a thermodynamic interpretation, it would follow that information can be encoded in the energy and communicated to the listener. Communication has in fact been demonstrated. A guy, a skilled telegrapher, arranged for his father, a retired railroad telegrapher, to operate a key, each closure and opening of which resulted in a pulse of microwave energy. By directing the radiations at his own head, complex messages via the Continental Morse code were readily received by Guy. Sharp and Grove found that appropriate modulation of microwave energy can result in wireless and receiverless communication of speech. They recorded by voice on tape each of the single-syllable words for digits between 1 and 10. The electrical sine wave analogues of each word were then processed so that each time a sine wave crossed zero reference in the negative direction, a brief pulse of microwave energy was triggered. This is, in effect, is a form of what is called pulse rate modulation. By radiating themselves with these voice-modulated microwaves, Sharp and Grove were readily able to hear, identify, and distinguish among the 9 words. Persons with artificial larynxes not unlike those emitted the sounds heard. Communication of more complex words and of sentences was not attempted because the averaged densities of energy required to transmit longer messages would approach the current 10 milliwatts per square centimeter limit of safe exposure. The capability of communicating directly with a human being by receiverless radio has obvious potentialities both within and without the clinic. But the hotly debated and unresolved question of how much microwave radiation to which a human being can safely be exposed will probably forestall applications within the near future. EC-130E Commando Solo, primary function is psychological operations broadcasts. Air Force Mission Statement: Commando Solo conducts psychological operations and civil affairs broadcasts missions in the standard AM, FM, HF, TV and military communications bands. It was called EC-121, known at the time as the Coronet Solo, and was used in Operation Urgent Fury. Volant Solo was during Operation Just Cause. The Commando Solo aircraft and earlier generations of this design have participated in the following missions: Operation Urgent Fury, Grenada, October-November 1983, January-June 1985, Operation Just Cause, Panama, late December 1989, Operation Desert Shield, Kuwait, Iraq, from August 1990, Operation Desert Storm, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Iraq, 1991, Operation Uphold Democracy, Haiti, 1994 to 1995, Operation Joint Guard, part of a UN operation in Bosnia-Herzegovina, 1995, Operation Desert Thunder, part of a UN operation in Iraq, Operation Desert Fox, Iraq, 2 to 3 days in December 1998. HARP. HARP, High Frequency Active Auroral Research Project, by virtue of its far-reaching impact on the environment to be a global concern and calls for its legal, ecological, and ethical implications to be examined by an international independent body before any further research and testing, regrets the repeated refusal of the United States administration send anyone in person to give evidence to the public hearing or any subsequent meeting to be held by its competent committee into the environmental and public risks connected with the HARP program currently being funded in Alaska. One of HARP's potential uses is a communications system. The military officially acknowledges 2 communications-related applications. 1. To replace the existing extremely low-frequency, ELF, submarine communications system now operating in Michigan and Wisconsin. 2. To provide a way to wipe out communications over an extremely large area, while keeping the military's own communications system working. As we have seen, the mind control subliminal messages are carried on radio frequency broadcasts. The HARP facility could be used to broadcast global mind control messages, or such messages could simply be inserted into existing systems. Dr. Igor Smirnov, of the Institute of Psychocorrection in Moscow, says in regard to this technology, it is easily conceivable that some Russian Satan, or let's say Iranian or any other Satan, as long as he owns the appropriate means and finances, can inject himself intrude into every conceivable computer network, into every conceivable radio or television broadcast, with relative technological ease, even without disconnecting cables. Recent media on HARP. HARP transmitter now running at full power. Can be easily heard around the world on shortwave radio. Has space war begun? BJ News by Marshall Smith. As of this morning, Saturday, February 17, 2001, HARP began doing testing with greatly increased full power. The transmitter can now be heard all day long on 3.39 MHz. Very early this morning about 3 a.m., HARP could be heard at its old normal signal strength. About 4 a.m. the signal changed in both its pulse timing and interpulse spacing. At 4:30 a.m. the signal strength suddenly increased tremendously. Unlike previous mornings, there was no regular F-layer daytime fade-out when the sun rose here in California about 6:45 a.m. I continued to monitor during the daylight. I have never heard the HARP signal during the daytime before. The sun now rises in Gacona, Alaska about 10 a.m. PST. The received signal again increased from about S5 to S9 at 10:05 a.m. With sunlight at both the transmitter and receiver, there is no F-layer skip to bend the powerful signal around the planet. This means this is an extremely powerful direct ground wave signal. And I'm only receiving the leakage off the side lobes of the antenna array. The full HARP design power is supposed to be about 350 megawatts. But that is only the published spec, not necessarily what is done in practice, as in those CBRs running illegal 1 kWatt linear amplifiers. There is a planned Air Force Star Wars test with 2 vehicles, one from California and the other in the South Pacific, similar to last summer's failed test. The tentative published launch is set for late March or April. I will monitor HARP to confirm it is running full power during the launch, as it was last summer. Last summer's failure is exactly what a HARP device is supposed to do: destroy the electronic controls of a vehicle so the second stage cannot separate from the booster. A very cheap, simple way to knock down missiles launched from anywhere on the planet. It also can destroy military satellites in low orbit. Maybe that's why the Russians and Chinese have been complaining in the last several weeks about Bush's intention to build the Star Wars system. Maybe they've been losing some of their secret hardware. But of course, they won't say that in public. It's now 11 a.m. PST, on Saturday the 17th, and the signal is blasting in with the powerful pre-pulse tone around S+20 and the main signal about S9. The signal varies 3 to 6 dB over a series of several pulses. Since this is not due to F-layer skip fading, I must assume they are slewing the beam of the antenna in various directions, and thus changing the amount of the side lobes in this direction. This must be a test of a simulated space warfare game with multiple targets. Rapid slewing of the antenna in just a matter of a minute or two is not useful for submarine communication, nor for their stated purpose of doing ionospheric research. To show the HARP signal is abnormally large, at this time, the 80-meter band is silent and WWV at 5 MHz cannot be heard, as would be expected during the daytime. WWV at 10 MHz is barely heard but does not even register on the S-meter. Tuning back to 3.39 MHz, the S-meter jumps off the top of the scale. Even the extremely powerful Russian woodpecker transmitters during the Cold War never did that, and they were aimed along the ground, not out into space. I have no way to estimate how many gigawatts that represents. It may be only coincidence, but just several days ago, Russia announced it would be conducting a massive space war game, including the launch of numerous missiles, from both ground sites and submarines. Of course this is only a coincidence. You think? For more information about HARP, how the transmitter works, and to hear what the transmitter sounds like, go back to the Brother Jonathan Gazette front page article about the HARP facility and how it is used in space warfare. I should point out in 1983 a number of Air Force ER-135 electronic warfare planes were shot down in the Sea of Japan. They were apparently making a covert entry into Soviet airspace to test the latest Russian technology. What the Air Force did not know then was the Soviets had developed a stealth fighter, so the 135s never saw the Russians coming and all 5 of the US warfare planes were shot down. To cover this covert event, the US shot down a 747, a plane similar to the 135s, or modified Boeing 707s whose parts are very similar to a 747, so if plane parts are found in the Sea of Japan they are claimed to be the 747. The 747 may, in fact, have played a part in the covered event. This is the supposed Russian shoot-down of Korean Airlines Flight 007, on September 1, 1983. I remember the event well, since it is my son's B-Day. The proof of a covered event with stealth Russian fighters shooting down 5 Air Force ER-135s is documented in R.W. Johnson's book, Shoot Down, published in 1986. The most convincing evidence is the strange fact that 27 U.S. active-duty electronic warfare officers somehow end up on the passenger list among the dead on the civilian KAL Flight 007 going to Korea. I only point this out to show how high-tech secret warfare between Russia and the U.S. may result in deaths and the destruction of hardware, and yet is never reported to the public. The U.S. did not announce and demonstrate deployment of its own stealth fighters until the Gulf War in 90–91, 7 years later. In 1991, 3 events occurred. 1. The U.S. demonstrates stealth fighter bombers which can travel anywhere in the world without detection. 2. The announcement of the construction of HARP which would neutralize all Soviet missiles coming over the pole. And 3. The collapse of the Soviet Union. To see these as unrelated events is to miss the point of history. At the present time, both the Russians and Chinese have demonstrated their ability and inclination to engage in warfare, especially space warfare. It would thus seem clear the coincidence of the massive Russian war games and the sudden increase in the output of HARP in a warfare mode, would indicate that on this President's Day weekend 2001, warfare is actually occurring, not just games. Just as in 1985, when planes were destroyed and U.S. airmen died, the story was completely covered up, but it nonetheless had great implications on the relations between the governments of the world. There are, of course, no airmen on the Russian missiles, nor the Chinese and Russian satellites in orbit. This is the new high robotic remote control warfare of outer space. But, the war games are real, nonetheless. The massive increase in the output of HARP, under the control of the Air Force's Space Vehicles Command which operates HARP and has the mission of engaging in space warfare, would indicate a lot of expensive space hardware is now biting the dust. The Russians will claim their exercise was a success. The Chinese who have just lost their eyes in orbit will say nothing. And the US will claim, as usual, what, who me? HARP hasn't been in operation since October 99. But you can listen for yourself on any shortwave receiver by tuning to 3.390 MHz. Good listening. http://www.anomalous-images.com. Some concluding remarks. The discovery of synthetic telepathy, as an way to communicate information directly onto the brain has changed everything. And, with related discoveries on membrane responses to specific frequency bands, and their amplification, has led to some very serious questions. Where are these technologies really leading man? Certainly not toward a better way of living. We see little application in their uses in medicine. In fact, most aspects have remained classified, and are still being used, historically, for military applications and uses. When you consider our ability to clone emotions, and the possible uses of HARP, there is no question on the possibility of its use for the complete mind control of humanity. We can do it now. We have the theory. We have the technology. Why would it not be done? And then, by whom? Dr. Robert O. Becker, twice nominated for the Nobel Prize for his health work in bioelectromagnetism, was more explicit in his concern over illicit government activity. He wrote of obvious application in covert operations designed to drive a target crazy with voices. What is frightening is that words, transmitted via low-density microwaves or radio frequencies, or by other covered methods, might be used to create influence. For instance, according to a 1984 U.S. House of Representatives report, a large number of stores throughout the country use high-frequency transmitted words, above the range of human hearing, to discourage shoplifting. Stealing is reduced by as much as 80% in some cases. Given the low power levels required for some of these psychophysical effects, and the ability to concentrate certain frequencies of electromagnetic radiation into tight beams, it is worth considering the possibility that low-orbiting satellites could transmit such signals directly to a chosen person. Such a capability would have obvious strategic value. What if some group or organization wanted to conduct terrorist activities that would strike right into the heart of their intended victims? What better way than to create killers from the most ordinary of citizens? Worse yet would be to cause children to unexpectedly lash out and murder those around them. It is apparent that the technology exists to elicit such behavior using waves of electromagnetic energy sent directly into the brain. ELF frequencies, as we know now, are not the most invasive weapons-capable frequencies. Doses of ELF can act as either sedatives or stimulants, entraining the target's EEG as with the Russian Lita machine. Weapons that can transmit hypnotic commands silently and untraceably, over distance and through walls, can cause a far wider spectrum of effects. In other words, don't assume that ELF is the only form of electromagnetic signal which can do damage. And, if you might wonder what that buzzing sound you sense behind your ear might be, it is HARP. You can actually hear it when they have it on. The obvious next important discussion should be around the changing Schumann resonance, and its affects and importance to biological functions and activities. There is no question that the Schumann resonance is changing toward the higher frequencies associated with our conscious states of mind. Why is that? Appendix A. Electromagnetic Weapons Timeline. Electromagnetic weapons are of recent invention. They utilize the various frequencies of the electromagnetic spectrum to disable or kill the target. Psychotronic weapons are those weapons that interact with the nervous system of the target. These weapons usually operate in the very low, 100 to 1000 Hz, or extremely low, greater than 0 but less than 100 Hz, frequency ranges. 1934 A Method for Remote Control of Electrical Stimulation of the Nervous System, a monograph by Drs. E. L. Chaffee and R. U. Light. 1934 Experiments in Distant Influence, book by Soviet professor Leonid L. Vasiliev. Vasiliev also wrote an article, Critical Evaluation of the Hypogenic Method, concerning the work of Dr. I. F. Tomaszewski on experiments in remote control of the brain. 1945 After World War II, the Allies discovered the Japanese had been developing a death ray utilizing very short radio waves focused into a high-power beam. Tests were done on animals. 1950 The French conducted research on infrasonic weapons. From The Road from Armageddon, by Peter Lewis, Resonance No. 13, pp. 9-14. 1953 John C. Lilly, when asked by the director of the National Institute of Mental Health, NIMH, to brief the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, National Security Agency, NSA, and the various military intelligence services on his work using electrodes to stimulate directly the pleasure and pain centers in the brain, refused. 1958, 1962 The U.S. conducts high-altitude electromagnetic pulse, EMP, bomb tests over the Pacific. From The Road from Armageddon by Peter Lewis. 1960 headlines read: Khrushchev says Soviets will cut forces a third, sees fantastic weapon. From article of same title, by Max Frankel, New York Times, January 15, 1960, P1 as cited in Tesla's Electromagnetics and its Soviet Weaponization, paper by T. E. Bearden. 1965 A death ray weapon was developed by McFarlane Corporation, described as a modulated electron gun X-ray nuclear booster, could be adapted to communications, remote control and guidance systems, radiation telemetry and death ray. Reported hearings before the House Subcommittee on Department of Defense Appropriations, chaired by Rep. George Mahone, Democrat, Texas. From Hearing Voices by Alex Constantine, Hustler, January 1994, pp 102-104, 113, 120, 134. Research by Harlan Gerard. 1965 Project Pandora was undertaken in which chimpanzees were exposed to microwave radiation. The man who was in charge of this project said, "The potential for exerting a degree of control on human behavior by low-level microwave radiation seems to exist," and he urged that the effects of microwaves be studied for possible weapons applications. From Electromagnetic Pollution, a little-known health hazard. A New Means of Control. By Kim Besley, Great Britain, P14. Research from Woody Blue. 1968 Dr. Gordon J. F. MacDonald, science advisor to President Lyndon Johnson, wrote, "Perturbation of the environment can produce changes in behavioral patterns." He was referring to low-frequency M waves in the ionosphere affecting human brain wave patterns. From his book, Unless Peace Comes, a scientific forecast of new weapons, cited in New World Order Elf Psychotronic Tyranny, a paper by C. B. Baker. 1970s Zbigniew Brzezinski, President Jimmy Carter's National Security Director, said in his book, Between Two Ages, weather control was a new weapon that would be the key element of strategy. Technology will make available to leaders of major nations a variety of techniques for conducting secret warfare. He also wrote, accurately timed, artificially excited electronic strokes could lead to a pattern of oscillations that produce relatively high power levels over certain regions of the Earth. One could develop a system that would seriously impair the brain performance of a very large population in selected regions over an extended period. Cited in Baker's Elf Psychotronic Tyranny paper. 1972 The Taser, first electrical shock device developed for use by law enforcement, delivers barbed, dart-shaped electrodes to a subject's body, and 50,000-volt pulses at 0.02 of an amp over 12 to 14 seconds time. From Report on the Attorney General's Conference on Less Than Lethal Weapons, by Sherry Sweetman, 1987, p4, which cites non-lethal weapons for law enforcement, research needs and priorities. A report to the National Science Foundation by the Security Planning Corporation, 1972. Research by Harlan Gerard. 1972 A U.S. Department of Defense document said that the Army has tested a microwave weapon. It was an extremely powerful electronic flamethrower. From Electromagnetic Pollution. 1972 A study published by the U.S. Army Mobility Equipment Research and Development Center, titled Analysis of Microwaves for Barrier Warfare, examines the plausibility of using radio frequency energy in counter-barrier warfare. The report concludes that a. It is possible to field a truck-portable microwave barrier system that will completely immobilize personnel in the open with present-day technology. B. There is a strong potential for a microwave system that would be capable of delaying or immobilizing personnel in vehicles. C. With present technology, no method could be identified for a microwave system to destroy the type of armored material common to tanks. From Electromagnetic Pollution by Kim Besley, P15, quoting The Zapping of America by Paul Brodeur. The report further documents the ability to create third-degree burns on human skin using 3 GHz at 20 watts/square centimeter in 2 seconds. 1972 Dr. Gordon J. F. MacDonald testified before the House Subcommittee on Oceans and International Environment, concerning low-frequency research. The basic notion there was to create between the electrically charged ionosphere in the higher part of the atmosphere and conducting layers of the surface of the Earth this neutral cavity, to create waves, electrical waves that would be tuned to the brain waves, about 10 cycles per second. You can produce changes in behavioral patterns or in responses. From Baker's Elf Psychotronic Tyranny paper. 1973, Sharp and Grove transmit audible words via microwaves. 1975 to 1977, unpublished analyses of microwave bioethics literature were disseminated to the U.S. Congress and to other officials arguing the case for remote control of human behavior by radar. From the Journal of Microwave Power, 12, 4, 1977, p320. Research by Harlan Gerard. 1978 Hungarians presented a state-of-the-art paper on infrasonic weapons to the United Nations, Working Paper on Infrasound Weapons, United Nations CD/575, August 14, 1978. From The Road from Armageddon by Peter Lewis. 1981 to 1982. Between 1981 and September 1982, the Navy commissioned me to investigate the potential of developing electromagnetic devices that could be used as non-lethal weapons by the Marine Corps for the purpose of riot control, hostage removal, clandestine operations, and so on. Eldon Bird, Naval Surface Weapons Center, Silver Spring MD. From Electromagnetic Pollution by Kim Besley, p12. 1982 Electromagnetic Weapons for Law Enforcement Use in Great Britain, Charles Bovell of the now-defunct British firm, Allen International, developed a 10 to 30 Hz strobe light that can produce seizures, giddiness, nausea, and fainting. Addition of sound pulses in the 4.0 to 7.5 Hz range increases effectiveness, as utilized in the Valkyrie, a frequency weapon advertised in British defence equipment catalogue until 1983. The Squawk Box or Sound Curdles uses 2 loudspeakers of 350 watt output to emit 2 slightly different frequencies that combine in the ear to produce a shrill shrieking noise. The U.S. National Science Foundation report says there is severe risk of permanent impairment of hearing. From Electropollution by Kim Besley, citing the Manchester City Council Police Monitoring Unit document. 1982 Air Force Review of Biotechnology. Currently available data allow the projection that specially generated radio frequency radiation, RFR, fields may pose powerful and revolutionary anti-personnel military threats. Electroshock therapy indicates the ability of induced electric current to completely interrupt mental functioning for short periods of time, to obtain cognition for longer periods and to restructure emotional response over prolonged intervals. Impressed electromagnetic fields can be disruptive to purposeful behavior and may be capable of directing and/or interrogating such behavior. Further, the passage of approximately 100 mA through the myocardium can lead to cardiac standstill and death, again pointing to a speed-of-light weapons effect. A rapidly scanning RFR system could provide an effective stun or kill capability over a large area. From Final Report on Biotechnology Research Requirements for Aeronautical Systems through the year 2000. AFOS for TR 82-0643, Vol 1 and Vol 2, July 30, 1982. 1986 The Electromagnetic Spectrum in Low-Intensity Conflict by Captain Paul Tyler, MC, USN quotes the above passage and further elaborates on the theme. Published in Low Intensity Conflict and Modern Technology LT. Col. David J. Dean, U.S. Air Force, ed., Air University Press, Maxwell AFB, AL. Research by Harlan Gerard. 1983 Nikolai Koklov, a Soviet KGB agent who defected to the West in 1976, interviews recently arrived scientists and reports, the Soviet mind control program is run by the KGB with unlimited funds. From The Spectator, February 5, 1983, reported in New World Order Psychotronic Tyranny by C. B. Baker. 1984 USSR, New Beam Energy Possible. Possibly associated with early Soviet weather engineering efforts over the U.S., from Tesla's electromagnetics and its Soviet weaponization by T. E. Bearden. 1985 Women in the peace camps at Greenham Common began showing various medical symptoms believed to be caused by M surveillance weapons beamed at them. C. Zapping, the new weapon of the patriarchy, Resonance No. 13, pp 22-24. Research by Woody Blue. 1986 Attorney General's Conference on Less Than Lethal Weapons reviews current weapons available. They include the Taser, the Nova XR 5000 stun gun, can interrupt a pacemaker, the Talon, a glove with an electrical pulse generator, and the Source, a flashlight with electrodes at the base. Photonic driving strobe lights tested by one conference delegate on 100 subjects, produced discomfort. Closed eyelids to not block the effect. Evidence that ELF produces nausea and disorientation. Suggestion to develop fast-acting electro-sleep-inducing M-weapon. Discusses problem of testing weapons on animals and human volunteers. From Report on the Attorney General's Conference on Less Than Lethal Weapons, by Sherry Sweetman, March 1987, prepared for the National Institute of Justice. Research by Harlan Gerard. 1988 The Pentagon is ordered by courts to cease EMP tests at several locations due to a lawsuit filed by an environmental group. From The Washington Post, May 15, 1988, see U.S. and Soviets develop death ray, Resonance 11, P10. Research by Remy Chevalier. 1992 December. The U.S. Army's Armament Research, Development, and Engineering Center is conducting a one-year study of acoustic beam technology. The command awarded the one-year study to Scientific Applications and Research Associates of Huntington Beach, CA. Related research is conducted at the Moscow-based Andreev Institute. From U.S. Explores Russian Mind Control Technology, by Barbara Opel, Defense News, January 11–17, 1993. Research by Harlan Gerard and others. 1993 The Russian government is offering to share with the United States in a bilateral center for psychotechnologies the Soviet mind control technology developed during the 1970s. The work was funded by the Department of Psychocorrection at the Moscow Medical Academy. Acoustic psychocorrection involves the transmission of specific commands via static or white noise bands into the human subconscious. The Russian experts, among them former KGB General George Kotov, present in a paper a list of software and hardware available for $80,000. From Opel article, U.S. explores Russian mind control technology. 1993 February 28, beginning of 51-day siege on the Branch Davidians at Waco, Texas, which ended in the death of more than 80 people. Until this incident, the electromagnetic weapons had kept a very low profile. But in the documentary video, Waco, the Big Lie continues, footage from the British Broadcasting, BBC, shows at least 3 M weapons used by U.S. government agents. First, the noise generators used against the Davidians. Second, a powerful strobe light, shown during a nighttime sequence. And the third was the Russian psychoacoustics weapon, considered, but agents deny use of this weapon against the Waco people. FBI agents met with Dr. Igor Smirnov in Arlington, VA to discuss the possibility of using the weapon against the Davidians. From A Subliminal Dr. Strangelove, by Dorinda Elliott and John Barry, Newsweek, August 22, 1994. Appendix B. Most common known ELF effects. Here is a list of most of the common effects. It is intended to show how the various induced stress effects are broken down. Indent levels are used to show categories and subcategories. Invasive at a distance body effects, including mind, sleep deprivation and fatigue. Silent but instantaneous application of electronic caffeine signal, forces awake and keeps awake. Loud noise from neighbors, usually synchronized to attempts to fall asleep. Precision to the second allowed sleep and forced awakening, far too precise and repeated to be natural. Daytime fatigue attacks, can force the victim to sleep and slash or weaken the muscles to the point of collapse. Audible voice to skull, V2S. Delivered by a parent at a distance radio signal. Made to appear as emanating from thin air. Voices or sound effects only the victim can hear. Inaudible voice to skull, silence sound. Delivered by a parent at a distance radio signal, manifested by sudden urges to do something / go somewhere you would not otherwise want to, silent, ultrasonic, hypnosis presumed. Programming hypnotic triggers, i.e., specific phrases or other cues which cause specific involuntary actions. Violent muscle triggering, flailing of limbs. Leg or arm jerks to violently force awake and keep awake. Whole body jerks, as if body had been hit by large jolt of electricity. Violent shaking of body, seemingly as if on a vibrating surface but where surface is in reality not vibrating. Precision manipulation of body parts, slow, specific purpose. Manipulation of hands, forced to synchronize with closed eyes but fully awake vision of previous day, very powerful and coercive, not a dream. Slow bending almost 90 degrees backwards of one toe at a time or one finger at a time. Direct at a distance control of breathing and vocal cords, including involuntary speech. 4. Spot blanking of memory, long and short term. Reading said silently to self-thoughts. Engineered skits where your thoughts are spoken to you by strangers on street or real-time reading sub-vocalized words, as while the victim reads a book, and broadcasting those words to nearby people who form an amazed audience around the victim. Direct application of pain to body parts. Hot needles deep in flesh sensation. Electric shocks, no wires whatsoever applied. Powerful and unquenchable itching, often applied precisely when victim attempts to do something to expose this work. Artificial fever, sudden, no illness present v sudden racing heartbeat, relaxed situation. Surveillance and tracking. Through wall radar and wrapping under your feet as you move about your apartment, on ceiling of apartment below. Through wall radar used to monitor starting and stopping of your urination, water below turned on and off in sync with your urine stream. Loud, raucous artificial bird calls everywhere the victim goes, even into the wilderness. Invasive physical effects at a distance, non-body. Stoppage of power to appliances, temporary, breaker on. Manipulation of appliance settings. Temporary failures that fix themselves. Flinging of objects, including non-metallic. Precision manipulation of switches and controls. Forced, obviously premature failure of appliance or parts. External stress generating skits. Participation of strangers, neighbors, and in some cases close friends and family members in harassment. Rudeness for no cause. Tradesmen always have problems, block your car, etc. Purchases delayed, spoiled, or lost at a high rate. Unusually loud music, noise, far beyond normal. Break-in/sabotage at home. Shredding of clothing. Destruction of furniture. Petty theft. Engineered failures of utilities. Sabotage at work. Repetitive damage to furniture. Deletion/corruption of computer files. Planting viruses which could not have come from your computer usage pattern. Delivered goods delayed, spoiled, or lost at a high rate. Spreading of rumors, sabotage to your working reputation. Direct sabotage and theft of completed work, tradesmen often involved in showing obvious pleasure. In summary, the effects include: to the brain, forced memory blanking and induced erroneous actions induced changes to hearing. Both apparent direction and volume, and sometimes even content reading and broadcasting thoughts. How can that lady talk with her mouth closed? Vivid controlled dreams. Forced waking visions, some synced with forced body motion. Microwave hearing. Sleep prevention each night, at exactly the same time, for weeks. To the facial, sudden violent itching inside eyelids. Forced manipulation of airways, including externally controlled forced speech. Transparent eyelids. Artificial tinnitus, ringing in ears, forced movement of jaw and clacking of teeth. To the body, wilding racing heart without cause. Remotely induced violent no-rash itching. Forced nudging of arm during delicate or messy work causing injury or spills. Forced muscle quaking on large muscles on the back or other unexplainable vibrations. Cases of repeated fresh watch batteries dying. Forced precision manipulation of hands, sometimes synced to the forced waking visions. Special attention to genital area, itching, forced orgasm, intense pain, hot needles. Intense general pain in the legs, like stings. Remind you that these are the unclassified effects only. Richard Alan Miller. Lectures, writing, and research. Author and researcher Richard Alan Miller reveals a wealth and depth of knowledge and experience in three major fields: alternative agriculture, New Age physics, and metaphysics. Before many leading-edge concepts became trendy topics, Miller was, and is, in the international front lines of research, experimentation, and documentation. His focus on botanicals made him the leading world authority on herb farming, processing and marketing. With numerous books, bylines, and websites, www.nwbotanicals.org, Miller's visionary work with alternative agriculture continues to be 20 years ahead, including concepts such as sustainability, intercropping, and forest farming. Taking a step behind the scenes of Black Ops research is for most of us limited to speculations. Miller began working in that X-Files world in the 60s and has amazing experiences and conclusions to share. An original team member, Man in Black, Miller's research in the field of parapsychology and paraphysics began as a graduate physicist working 10 years with Army Intel/Pentagon. During this period, numerous foundational papers, including a holographic concept of reality and embryonic holography, were written. Richard Alan Miller's most recent work, Synthetic Telepathy and the Early Mind Wars, discusses how some of his earlier work contributed to new mind-altering technologies and their current applications. His most recent works at Nexus conferences in Brisbane, 2004, and Amsterdam, 2005, was titled The Non-Local Mind in a Holographic Universe. He also has semi-technical papers to be presented in Anaheim at the World Nutra Conference in October 2005. Title: Lab-Grown Cordyceps sinensis Hybrid, a nano-processed medicinal mushroom that really delivers. Offering fresh perspectives on metaphysical traditions, his books, papers and articles integrate his scientific research with time-honored metaphysical concepts, leading to such works as The Modern Alchemist, A Guide to Personal Transformation and The Diamond Body, a synergetic approach to mysticism. He brings a similar integration to the magical and ritual use of herbs and the magical and ritual use of aphrodisiacs. Miller is listed in Who's Who in the World, America, and the West. Richard Allen Miller. Northwest Botanicals, Inc. 541-476-5588. 541-476-1823, fax. www.nwbotanicals.org. www.herbfarminfo.com. Cal. Synthetic Telepathy and the Early Mind Wars. http://www.earthpulse.com/epulseuploads/articles/syntelepathy.pdf. Books on Mind Control. 80, W. Ross, and Lawrence, Albert F. eds Nonlinear Electrodynamics in Biological Systems, Plenum Publishing Corp., New York, 1984. Alexander, John B., Groller, Richard, and Morris, Janet, The Warrior's Edge, Frontline Strategies for Victory on the Corporate Battlefield, 1990. Anderson, Larry E. ed. Interaction of Biological Systems with Static and Electric and Magnetic Fields, Department of Energy, Washington, D.C., 1984. Aquino, Michael A. Major, and Valley, Paul E. Colonel Mind War, From Siops to Mind War, The Psychology of Victory. Bamford, James, and Madsen, The Puzzle Palace, Inside the National Security Agency, America's Most Secret Intelligence Organization, Penguin Books, New York, 1982. Baranska, S., and Chersky, P., Biological Effects of Microwaves, Dowden, Hutchinson, and Ross, Inc., Stroudsburg, Pa., 1976. Barnothy, M.F., Biological Effects of Magnetic Fields, Plenum Publishing Corp., New York, Vol. I, 1964, Vol. II, 1969. Basar, E., Floor, H., Hacken, H., and Mandel, A. EDS Synergetics of the Brain, Springer Verlag, Berlin, 1983. Bearden, Thomas E. Lieutenant Colonel An Approach to Understanding Psychotronics, ADA 027866, Defense Documentation Center, Washington, D.C., 1976. Bearden, Thomas E. Lieutenant Colonel Excalibur Briefing, Strawberry Hill Press/Walnut Hill Books, San Francisco, 1980. Bearden, Thomas E. Lieutenant Colonel Gravitobiology, 1991. Bearden, Thomas E. Lieutenant Colonel The New Tesla Electromagnetics and the Secrets of Electrical Free Energy, Tesla Book Co., Millbrae, CA, 1983. Bearden, Thomas E. Lieutenant Colonel Solutions to Tesla's Secrets and the Soviet Tesla Weapons, Tesla Book Co., Millbrae, CA, 1983. Becker, Robert O., and Selden, Gary, The Body Electric, Electromagnetism and the Foundation of Life, William Morrow & Co., Inc., New York, 1985. Becker, Robert O., Cross Currents, The Perils of Electropollution, The Promise of Electromedicine, Jeremy P. Tarcher, New York, 1990. Becker, Robert O., and Marino, Andrew A., Electromagnetism and Life, SUNY Press, Albany, New York, 1982. Becker, Robert O. ed. Mechanism of Growth Control, C.C. Thomas Press, Springfield, IL 1982. Bijich, Nick, and Manning, Gene. Angels Don't Play This Harp. Advances in Tesla Technology, Earth Pulse Press, Anchorage, AK, 1995. ISBN 0-96488-12-0. Bijich, Nick, Towards a New Alchemy, The Millennium Science. Beyer, V. Health Effects of Exposure to Low Levels of Ionizing Radiation, 1990. Baescher, D.E., ETAL, Exposure of Man to Magnetic Fields Alternating at Extremely Low Frequency, AD 77014000, Namrol 1180, Naval Aerospace Naval Research Laboratory, Pensacola, FL, 1973. Bennett, William R., Health and Low Frequency Electromagnetic Fields, Yale University Press, New Haven, CT, 1994. Biederman, A.D., and Zimmer, H. eds. The Manipulation of Human Behavior, John Wiley & Sons, 1961. Blank, Martin, Electromagnetic Field Biointeractions and Mechanics, Advances in Chemistry Series No. 250. American Chemical Society, 1155, 16th STNW, Washington, D.C. 20036, 1995, ISBN 0-84123135-4. Bowart, Walter, Operation Mind Control, Dell, New York, 1978. Bowart, Walter H., Operation Mind Control, How the Cryptocracy Will Psycho-Civilize You, St. Martin's Press, New York, 1994. Braid, James, Electrobiological Phenomena Considered Physiologically and Psychologically, Sutherland and Knox, Edinburgh, 1851, yes, 1851. Brodeur, Paul, Currents of Death, Power Lines, Computer Terminals, and the Attempt to Cover Up Their Threat to Your Health, Simon & Schuster, New York, 1989. Brodeur, Paul, Secrets, A Writer in the Cold War, Faber & Faber, Boston, 1997, ISBN 0-571-19907-0. Brodeur, Paul, The Zapping of America, Microwaves, Their Deadly Risk, and the Cover-Up, W. W. Norton & Co., New York, 1977. Butery, The Invention That Changed the World. Birch, N., and Altshuler, H. L. EDS Behavior and Brain Electrical Activity, Plenum Publishing Corp., New York, 1976. Burdick, Dorothy, Such Things Are Known, Vantage Press, Inc., 1982, Non-Fiction, out of print. Berner, Alvin M., Biological Effects of Microwaves, Future Research Directions, San Francisco Press, Inc., San Francisco, CA, 1968. Burr, H.S., Blueprint for Immortality, The Electric Patterns of Life, Neville Spearman, London, 1972. Bielinsky, Jean, Mood Control, Charles Scribner's Sons, New York, 1968. Callahan, Philip S., Ph.D. Exploring the Spectrum and Paramagnetism, 19__. Callahan, Philip S., The Paramagnetic Elf Forces, 19__. Calder, Nigel, The Mind of Man. Cannon, Martin, Mind Control in America. Cannon, Martin, The Controllers, A New Hypothesis of Alien Abduction, Prevailing Winds, Santa Barbara, CA, 1989. Capron, Alexander, M., Human Experimentation, University Publications of America, Bethesda, M.D., 1986. Chavkin, Samuel, The Mind Stealers, Psychosurgery and Mind Control, Houghton Mifflin Co., Boston, 1978. Chiabrera, A., Nicolini, C., and Schwann, H.P. EDS Interactions between Electromagnetic Fields and Cells, NATO Scientific Affairs Division, ACI Series 97A, Plenum Publications Corp., New York and London, 1985. Chakravarti, Sudhanshu, Magnetic Stimulation in Clinical Neurophysiology. Chaover, Stephen L., From Genesis to Genocide, The Meaning of Human Nature and the Power of Behavior Control, MIT Press, Cambridge, Ma., 1979. Clark, Hulda, The Cure for All Disease. Clark, Arthur C., July 20, 2019. Cleary, Stephen, F. ed. Biological Effects and Health Implications of Microwave Radiation, U.S. Department. Hugh, BRH/DBE 70-2, Washington, D.C., June, 1979, from the Richmond Symposium, Richmond, VA, September 17-19, 1979. Cole, K.C., Sympathetic Vibrations. Collins, Larry, The Maze, A Novel, Simon & Schuster, Inc., New York, 1989, Fiction. Colorado Springs Notes, Nikola Tesla's Experiments. Condon, Richard, The Manchurian Candidate, Fiction. Constantine, Alex, Psychic Dictatorship in the USA, Feral House, Portland, or, 1995, ISBN 0-922915-28-8, 221 pages. Constantine, Alex, Virtual Government, CIA Mind Control Operations in America, Feral House, Venice, CA, 1997. Copeland, Miles, Without Cloak and Dagger, The Truth About the New Espionage, Simon & Schuster, New York, 1974. Corning, W.C., and Balaban, M., The Mind, Biological Approaches to Its Function, 1968. Corson, William, The Armies of Ignorance, Dial Press, New York, 1977. Chersky, P., Shore, M.L., et.al. EDS Biological Effects and Health Hazards of Microwave Radiation, Polish Medical Pub, Warsaw, Poland, 1974. Davis, Albert Roy, The Anatomy of Biomagnetism, Vantage Press, New York, 1982, ISBN 533-050464, 107 pages. Davis, Albert Roy, and Rawls, Walter C., Jr., The Magnetic Blueprint of Life, Exposition Press, Hicksville, New York, 1979, ISBN 0-682-49215-9, 150 pages, good bibliography at end. Davis, Albert Roy, and Rawls, Walter C., Jr., The Magnetic Effect, Exposition Press, Hicksville, New York, 1975. Davis, Albert Roy, and Rawls, Walter C., Jr., Magnetism and Its Effects on the Living System, Exposition Press, Hicksville, New York, 1974. Dean, Lieutenant Colonel, David J. ed. Low Intensity Conflict and Modern Technology, Air University Press, Maxwell Air Force Base, A.L., June, 1986. Defelice, L., Introduction to Membrane Noise, Plenum Publishing Corp., New York, 1981. De la Warre, G.W., and Baker, D. Biomagnetism, De la Warre Laboratories, Limited, Oxford, 1978. Delgado, Jose M.R., Physical Control of the Mind, Toward a Psycho-Civilized Society, Harper and Row, New York, 1969. De Volpe, A. E.T.A.L., Born Secret, The HHHHHHHHH Bomb, The Progressive Case and National Security, Pergamon Press, 1981. Dumansky, Y., Serdyuk, A.M., and Los, I.P., The Effect of Radio Frequency Electromagnetic Fields on Humans, Kiev. Eben, Martin, Psychic Warfare, Threat or Illusion, McGraw-Hill, New York, 1983. Ecclesiastes, J.C., The Neurophysiological Basis of Mind, Oxford University Press, New York, 1953. Eden, Jerome, Animal Magnetism and the Life Energy, Exposition Press, Hickville, New York, 1967. Edelman, G.M., The Remembered Present, A Biological Theory of Consciousness, Basic Books, New York, 1989. Ern, Sergio N., Hobham, H.D., and Lubig, H., Biomagnetism, Walter de Gruyter and Co., Berlin and New York, 1981, 558 pages. Iges, Leonard, The Classical Electromagnetic Field, Addison Wesley Publishing Co., Reading, Ma, 1972, 413 pages. Ferguson, Marilyn, The Brain Revolution, The Frontiers of Mind Research, Taplinger Publishing Co., New York, 1973. Flanagan, G. Patrick, The Neurophone, Pyramid Power, 8th ed., Dvorzes and Co., Marina del Rey, CA, 1980. Franceschetti, Giorgio, Gondi, and Grandolfo, M. EDS Electromagnetic Biointeraction, 1988. Frulich, H. ed. Biological Coherence in Response to External Stimuli, Springer Verlag, Heidelberg and Berlin, 1988. Galen, Willard M., Meister, Joel S., and Neville, Robert C. EDS Operating on the Mind, Basic Books, 1975. Galton, Lawrence, MedTech. Gilmore, Don, I Swear by Apollo, Dr. Ewan Cameron, the CIA and the Canadian Mind Control Experiments, Eden Press, Montreal, 1986. Glazer, Zorak R., and Moore Julia L., Cumulative Index to the Bibliography of Reported Biological Effects and Clinical Symptoms Attributed to Microwave and Radio Frequency Radiation Exposure, Julie Moore and Associates, Riverside, CA, 1982. Gordon, Thomas, Journey into Madness, The True Story of Secret CIA Mind Control and Medical Abuse, Bantam Books, New York, 1989. Grandolfo, M., Mickelson, S.M., and Reindl, A. EDS Biological Effects and Dosimetry of Non-Ionizing Radiation, Plenum Publishing Corp., New York, 1983. Green, Elmer, and Alice, Beyond Biofeedback, 1977. Greenslade, Shirley, Mind Control, A Gape Word, 1994, ISBN 1-886799-05-9. Guzman, Emilio, Mind Control, Institute of Psychology, Inc., 1996, ISBN 0-913343-25-0. Halassi, D.S., Jr., Cyborg, 1965. Hassan, Stephen, Combating Cult Mind Control. Hazard, D.G. Ed. Biological Effects and Measurements of Radio Frequency/Microwaves, Bureau of Radiological Health, HUPUB 77-8026, Rockville, MD, 1977. Heller, John H., Of Mice, Men, and Molecules, 1963. Hemming, Leland H., Architectural Electromagnetic Shielding Handbook, A Design and Specification Guide, IEEE, Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, Press, New York, 1992. Hoffman, Michael A., Secret Societies and Psychological Warfare, Coetur de Lane, ID, 1989, 127 pages. Hooper, Judith, The 3-Pound Universe. Hutchings, Edward, Jr., Frontiers in Science, 1958. Hutchison, Michael, Mega Brain, New Tools and Techniques for Brain Growth and Mind Expansion, Ballantine Books, New York, 1986, ISBN 0-345-41032-7, 380 pages. Hutchison, Michael, Mega Brain Power, ISBN 1-56282-770-7, 480 pages. Illinger, K.H. Ed. Biological Effects of Non-Ionizing Radiation, American Chemical Society Symposium Series No. 157, Washington, D.C., 1981. Jacobson, Stephen, Mind Control in the United States, Critique Publishers, Santa Rosa, CA, 1985. John, E.R., Machinery of the Mind, Birkhauser, Boston, Ma, 1990. John, R.G., and Dunn, B.J., Margins of Reality, The Role of Consciousness in the Physical World, Harcourt, Brace, and Jovanovich, New York, 1987. Johnson, C.C., and Shore, M.L. EDS. Biological Effects of Electromagnetic Waves, Bureau of Radiological Health, HUPUB 77-8010, Rockville, M.D., 1976. Johnson, George, In the Palaces of Memory. Kahn, Herman, and Wiener, Anthony, The Year 2000, A Framework for Speculation on the Next 33 Years, Macmillan Co., New York, 1967. Keith, Jim, Mind Control/World Control, The Encyclopedia of Mind Control, Adventures Unlimited Press, Illinois, 1998, ISBN 0-932813-45-3. Key, Wilson Bryan, The Age of Manipulation, The Con in Confidence, The Sin Insincere, Henry Holt & Co., New York, 1989. Kolodov, Y.A., Effects of Electromagnetic. Kahlberg, E. Ed. Microwave and Millimeter Wave Mixers, Institute Electrical, 1984, ISBN 087942-179-7. Kong, Jin A., ETAL, Theory of Microwave Remote Sensing, 2nd ed., John Wiley & Sons, New York, 1985. Lokhovsky, Georges, The Secret of Life, Cosmic Rays and Radiations of Living Beings, Health Research, Moklumah Hill, CA, 1970, translated from Russian by Mark Clement, 212 pages. Lokhovsky, Georges, The Secret of Life, Electricity, Radiation, and Your Body, Liberty Lobby, Washington, D.C., 1994. Lausch, Irwin, Manipulation, Aidan Ellis, 1974. Lawrence, Lincoln, Pseudonym Were We Controlled? University Books, New Hyde Park, New York, 1967. Lawrence, Lincoln, pseudonym, with an introduction by Ken Thomas, Mind Control, Oswald and JFK, Were We Controlled? Adventures Unlimited Press, Kempton, IL, 1997, ISBN 09328113-46-1. Lee, Martin, and Schlein, B. Acid Dreams, The CIA, LSD, and the 60s Rebellion, Grover Press, New York, 1986. Lee, Martin, The Beast Reawakens. Leonard, George, The Silent Pulse, Bantam Books, New York, 1981. Levitt, B. Blake, Electromagnetic Fields, 432 pages. Lynn, James C. C. Michelson, Soul M, and Biological Effects and Health Implications of RF Radiation. Lynn, James C. Electromagnetic Interaction with Biological Systems, Plenum Publishing Corp., New York, 1989. Lynn, James C. Microwave Auditory Effects and Applications, 1978, 221 pages. Lipsky, Stephen, Microwave Passive Direction Finding. Loredo, J.G., Sanchez, A., and Batokla T., J.H., Biologic and Clinical Effects of Low-Frequency Magnetic and Electric Fields, Charles C. Thomas, Springfield, IL, 19. Greater than 1988. London, Perry, Behavior Control, 269 pages. McKay, Stuart, Biomedical Telemetry. Marha, Carol, Musil, Jan, and Tuha, Hannah, Electromagnetic Fields and the Life Environment, San Francisco Press, San Francisco, CA, 1971. Marino, Andrew A. Ed. Modern Bioelectricity, Marcel Decker, New York, 1988. Marks, John D., Search for the Manchurian Candidate, The CIA and Mind Control, Times Books, New York, 1979, Non-Fiction. Maxwell, J.C., A Treatise on Electricity and Magnetism, Vols. IN 2, Dover Publications, New York, 1954. McRae, Ronald M., Mind Wars, The True Story of Government Research into the Military Potential of Psychic Weapons, St. Martin's Press, New York, 1984, ISBN 0-312-65231-3. Michelson, Sol M., and Lynn, James C., Biological Effects and Health Implications of RF Radiation. Mills, James, The Power, Warner Books, Inc., New York, 1990, Fiction. Mind Control, Hidden Manipulation, and Subliminal Learning, Gordon Press, New York, 1991. Mowell, Joseph D., Transmitter Hunting, Radio Direction Finding Simplified. Morris, Janet, Medusa. Newman, Joseph, Energy is Electromagnetic. Nicolini, C., Chromatin Structure and Function, Plenum Press, New York, 1979. Norton, B., and Ramel, C. EDS Interaction Mechanisms of Low-Level Electromagnetic Fields in Living Systems, Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences, Oxford University Press, Inc., New York, 1989. O'Connor, Mary Ellen, and Lovely, Richard, H. EDS Electromagnetic Fields and Neurobehavioral Function, Alan R. Liss, Inc., New York, 1988. O'Neill, John J., Prodigal Genius, The Life of Nikola Tesla, Ives Washburn, Inc., New York, 1944, 326 pages. Orwell, George, 1984, Harcourt, Brace and Jovanovich, New York, 1949, 268 pages. Osepchuk, John M. ed. Biological Effects of Electromagnetic Radiation, John Wiley & Sons, Inc., New York, 1983, IEEE Order No. PC 01594, 593 pages. Ostrander, Sheila, and Schroeder, Lynn, Supermemory, The Revolution, 1991. Persinger, Michael A. ed. ELF and VLF Electromagnetic Field Effects, Plenum Publishing Corp., New York, 1974. Pines, Maya, The Brain Changers, Scientists and the New Mind Control, Harcourt, Brace, Jovanovich, Inc., 1973. Polk, C. and Posto, E. EDSCRC, Chemical Rubber Co. Handbook of Biological Effects of Electromagnetic Fields, Chemical Rubber Co. Press, Boca Raton, FL, 1986. Pop, Fritz Albert, ed. Electromagnetic Bioinformation, Urban and Schwarzenberg, Baltimore, MD, 1979. Priesman, A.S., Electromagnetic Fields in Life, Plenum Publishing Corp., New York and London, 1970. Translated from Russian by F.L. Sinclair, edited by Frank A. Brown, 336 pages. Pribram, Carl H., Brain and Perception, Holonomy and Structure in Figural Processing, Lawrence Erlbaum Associates, Hillsdale, New Jersey, 1993. Pribram, Carl H. ed. Rethinking Neural Networks, Quantum Fields and Biological Data, Lawrence Erlbaum Associates, Mahwah, Hillsdale, New Jersey, 1993. Puharich, Andrija, Beyond Telepathy, Anchor Books, Garden City, New York, 1973. Puthoff, Harold E. and Targ, Russell, Mind Reach, Scientists Look at Psychic Ability, Delta, New York, 1978. Puthoff, Harold E. and Targ, Russell, eds Mind at Large, Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers Symposia on the Nature of Extrasensory Perception, Praeger, New York, 1979. Radin, Dean, The Unconscious Universe, 19__. Radio Frequency Radiation Dosimetry Handbook, U.S. Air Force School of Aerospace Medicine, Brooks AFB, TX, October 1986. Ranelagh, John, The Agency, 1986, ISBN 0-671-44318-6. Rappaport, John, U.S. Mind Control Experiments on Children, Los Angeles, 1995, bound Xerox, 136 pages. Rauscher, Elizabeth A., Electromagnetic Phenomena in Complex Geometries and Nonlinear Phenomena, Non-Hertzian Waves, and Magnetic Monopoles, Tesla Book Co., Milbray, C.A., 1983. Reagan, David, Evoked Potentials. Remote Mind Control Technology. Renati, Charles, and Hudson, Michael, The Silent Intruder, Houghton Mifflin, Boston, 1982, 208 pages. Restock, Richard M., The Brain, The Last Frontier, Doubleday Direct, Garden City, New York, 1979, page 258. Restock, Richard M., The Mind, Bantam Books, New York, 1988. Ricketts, L.W., Bridges, J.E., and Millets, J. EMP Radiation and Protective Techniques, John Wiley & Sons, New York, 1976. Reason, W., ETAL, a pilot study of the interaction of extremely low-frequency electromagnetic fields with brain organelles, IIT Research Institute, AD 748119, Chicago, IL, 1971. Roper Organization, they, Unusual Personal Experiences, an analysis of the data from 3 national surveys, Bigelow Holding Corp., Las Vegas, New York, 1991, John Mack and Bud Hopkins. Rossman, Michael, New Age Blues, On the Politics of Consciousness, E.P. Dutton, New York, 1979, Chapter on Mind Control Technology, / Rucker, Rudy, Mind Tools. Russell, Richard, The Man Who Knew Too Much. Russell Manning, Elizabeth, Betsy Mass Mind Control of the American People, self-published, San Francisco, CA, 1992. Russell Manning, Elizabeth, Betsy The Microwave Deception, Greensward Press, 1989, ISBN 0-930165-13-6. Russell Manning, Elizabeth, Betsy Mind Control in a Free Society, 1989. Russell Manning, Elizabeth, Betsy, and Welsh, Cheryl, Whistleblowers, 1996, bound Xerox available from Flatland Books, 276 pages, or Whistleblowers, Non-Lethal Weapons, Greenswald, Press, San Francisco, CA, 1996, 315 pages. Sargent, William, Battle for the Mind, A Physiology of Conversion and Brainwashing, Greenwood Press, Westport, CT, 1957. Schaff-Franke, Rolf, Proofs of Free Energy Devices and Supporting Data, Tesla Book Co., Millbrae, CA, 1983. Shefflin, Alan W., and Opton, Edward M., Jr., Mind Manipulators, a Non-Fiction Account, Paddington Press, London, 1978. Schmidt, F.O., and Schneider, D.M., Functional Linkage in Biomolecular Systems, Raven Press, New York, 1975. Schnitzgebel, Robert L., and Schnitzgebel, Ralph K., Psychotechnology, Electronic Control of the Mind and Behavior, Holt, Reinhardt and Winston, New York, 1973. Schrag, Peter, Mind Control, Pantheon Books, New York, 1978. Swartz, Jack, Human Energy Systems, E.P. Dutton, New York, 1980, 175 pages. Sheffield, Charles, E.T.L. EDS The World of 2044, Technological Development and the Future of Society, Paragon House, 1994. Shepherd, G.M., The Synaptic Organization of the Brain, Oxford University Press, New York, 1974. Shepherd, Asher R., and Eisenbud, Merrill, Biological Effects of Electric and Magnetic Fields of Extremely Low Frequency, New York University Press, New York, 1977, 229 pages. Schuchman, David, Tomorrow's War, The Threat of High-Technology Weapons, Harcourt Brace & Co., 1996, formerly, The Sorcerer's Challenge, Houghton and Stoughton, London, 1995. Siegel, Ronald K. and West, Louis Joyalon *, EDS Hallucinations, Behavior, Experience, and Theory, Wiley, New York, 1975, * member, Old Crows Association. Siegel, Ronald K., Whispers, The Voices of Paranoia, Crown Publishers, Inc., New York, 1994. Smith, Cyril W., and Best, Simon, Electromagnetic Man, Health and Hazard in the Electrical Environment, St. Martin's Press, Inc., New York, 1989. Soik, Fred, and Edmonds, Alan, The Ion Effect, E.P. Dutton, New York, 1977. Stanek, Nicholas H., The Microwave Debate, MIT Press, Cambridge, Ma, 1984. Steen, G. Harry, The Silicon Gods, Bantam Books, New York. Sweeney, H. Michael, Alice in Americ Island. Taylor, Bryce, Starshine, One Woman's Valiant Escape from Mind Control, MK Ultra Victim. $18.95, includes S/H, from Bryce Taylor Trust. P.O. Box 655. Landrum, South Carolina 29356. Bryce Taylor also offers her recovery book, Revivification, a gentle, alternative, memory retrieval process for trauma survivors. $7.50, includes S/H. For more on Bryce Taylor, see her CKLN interview. Theory, Jacques, Microwaves, Industrial, Scientific, and Medical Applications, 670 pages. Thomas, Gordon, Enslaved, Pharos Books, New York, 1981. Thomas, Gordon, Journey into Madness, The True Story of Secret CIA Mind Control and Medical Abuse, Bantam Books, New York, 1989, 388 pages. The Transformation of America, by George Leonard. Tobiana, Morris, et.al., Radiobiology. Turner, William, Hoover's FBI. Wallenstein, Elliot S., Brain Control, A Critical Examination of Brain Stimulation and Psychosurgery. John Wiley & Sons, New York, 1973. Valerian, Valdemar, Matrix 3, The Psychosocial, Chemical, Biological, and Electric Manipulation of Human Consciousness, 1994. Bound Xerox, 730 pages. Valerian, Valdemar, Matrix 3, Volume 2, The Psychosocial, Chemical, Biological, and Magnetic Manipulation of Human Consciousness, 1995, bound Xerox, 707 pages. Vankin, Jonathan, Conspiracies, Cover-Ups and Crimes, Dell, New York, 1990. Vankin, Jonathan, Conspiracies, Crimes, and Cover-Ups, Political Manipulation and Mind Control in America, Paragon House, New York, 1991. Willaya, C.S., Towards Century 21. War in the Age of Intelligent Machines. Warden, Patrick, A., Mind Control and Mental Telepathy, Samizdat, Los Angeles, August 1, 1993. Warshawski, Fred, The Control of Life. Watson, Peter, War on the Mind, Military Uses and Abuses of Psychology, Basic Books, Inc., New York, 1978. Weinstein, Harvey M., Psychiatry and the CIA, Victims of Mind Control, American Psychiatric Press, Washington, D.C., 1990. Whalen, John, 50 Top Conspiracies of All Time. White, John, ed. Psychic Warfare, Fact or Fiction, Aquarian, 1988, book. Williams, Electromagnetic Brain Blaster. Williamson, Samuel J. ed. Biomagnetism, Plenum Publishing Corp., New York, 1983. Wynne, Denise, The Manipulated Mind, The Octagon Press, New York, 1983. Wolf, Alfred A., The Body Quantum, U. Allen, Millimeter Waves and Mind Control. Articles on Mind Control. Aftergood, Stephen, Secrecy and Government Bulletin, Issue 28, November 1993. Aftergood, Stephen, The Soft Kill Fallacy, Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists, pages 40 to 45, September/October 1994. Alexander, John B., The New Mental Battlefield, Beam Me Up Spock, Military Review, a U.S. Army Journal, pages 47 to 54, December 1980. The Associated Press, Mind-Altering Microwaves, Soviets Studying Invisible Ray, Los Angeles Herald-Examiner, Seconds. A. p. 22, November 1976. Asterisk. Bacon, S. Now They're Probing the Hidden Depths of Your Mind, Popular Mechanics, Volume 136, pages 62 to 65, August 1971. Barry, John, and Morgenthau, Thomas, Science of War, Non-Lethal Weapons, Newsweek, pages 24 to 26, February 7, 1994. Barch, Paul, Neurotransmission, Resonance, Number 17, pages 8 to 10, July 1990. Bearden, Thomas, An Approach to Understanding Psychotronics, DDC, ADA 027866, June 1976. Beardsley, Tim, Making Waves, Scientific American, Volume 268 No. 2 p. 32, February 1993. Beck, Robert C., ELF, Extremely Low Frequency Fields, They Affect Us All in Ways We May Never Consciously Realize. Nexus, Volume 2, No. 6. Pages 11 to 15 and 66 to 67, January/February 1992. Beck, Robert C., Extreme Low Frequency, ELF, Magnetic Fields and EEG Entrainment, A Psychotronic Warfare Possibility. Association for Humanistic Psychology Newsletter, April 1978 or Biomedical Research Associates, Los Angeles, CA, 1978. Besley, Kim, Electromagnetic Pollution, A Little-Known Health Hazard. A New Means of Control, Preliminary Report, Greenham Common Woman's Peace Camp, Inland House, Southbourne, Emsworth, Hants, England, 1993. Biomedical Aspects of Non-Ionizing Radiation, Naval Weapons Laboratory, NWL, Dahlgren, VA, Symposium, July 10, 1973. Blackman, Janet, Woman Fears Government Zapping, Sun Journal, New Bern, NC, September 28, 1992. Mildred Cooper. Boyce, Nell, Bioterrorism Special Report, Nowhere to Hide, New Scientist Vol. pp. March 21, 1998. Brodeur, Paul, A Reporter at Large, Microwaves IN2, New Yorker, 13, December 27, 1976. Budiansky, Stephen, and Good, Erica, E., Orlikow v. U.S., U.S. News and World Report, Investigative Report, Vol. No. p. 34, January 24, 1994. Burrell, Garland E., Jr., Mental Privacy, An International Safeguard to Governmental Intrusion into the Mental Processes, California Western International Law Journal, Volume 6, pp. 110+, 1975. Butler, Declan, Advances in Neuroscience May Threaten Human Rights, Nature, Volume 391, Issue p. 319, January 1998. Asterisk. Butterfield, Fox, $2.15 million for hidden weapon research, The New York Times, Seattle Post-Intelligencer, Seconds. A3, Friday, March 10, 1995. Byrne, Harlan S., California Microwaves, Barron's, Volume 72, Number 13, pages 48 to 49, March 30, 1992. Cannon, Martin, Mind Control and the American Government, Lobster, Number 23, 1993. Kaler, Ron, Government Working on Machine That Can Read Your Mind, The National Enquirer, June 22, 1976. Article created sensation. Chernyshev, I. Can rulers make zombies and control the world? Orienteer, pages 58 to 62, February 1997. Collins, Larry, Mind Control, Playboy, January 1990. Coupland, Robin M., Non-Lethal Weapons, Precipitating a New Arms Race? Medicine must guard against its knowledge being used for weapon development, British Medical Journal, Volume 315, p. 72, July 12, 1997. Crary, David, Soldiers Recount Most Memorable Iraqi Surrenders, Associated Press. The Daily Commercial, March 1, 1991. Debosky, Bruce H., Non-Ionizing Radiation, Hidden Hazards, Trial Magazine, Volume 26, Number 8, pages 32 to 36, August 1990. DeCaro, Chuck, Washington, The Zap Gap, The Soviets May Be Ahead of Us in the Development of Radio Frequency Weapons, Atlantic Monthly, pages 24 to 28, March 1987. Delano, Stephen, Electronic Concentration Camp. Disabling People and Electronics, Microwave News, January/February 1996. Dodd, Intel agencies look at Russian mind control technology claims, Defense Electronics, July 1993. Dodgen, Larry, Non-Lethal Weapons, U.S. News and World Report, Vol. No. P5, August 4, 1997. Dornheim, M.A., USAF Studying Brainwaves to Increase Crew Performances, Aviation Week and Space Technology, Volume 20, pages 18+, February 1986. Doswald Beck, Louise and Cotteray, Gerald C., The Development of New Antipersonnel Weapons, International Review of the Red Cross, Volume 279, November 1, 1990. Edwards, D.D., Cells Haywire in Electromagnetic Field. Science News, Volume 133, pages 216, April 2, 1988, work of W.R.80. Edwards, D.D., Elf, The Current Controversy, Science News, Volume 131, pages 107 to 109, February 14, 1987. Electromagnetic Fields, New Wave Coverage Issues, Best's Review, 1991. Elliott, Dorinda, and Barry, John, A Subliminal Dr. Strangelove. Mind, Using the Power of Hidden Suggestions, this Russian scientist, Igor Smirnov, tries to rewire the brain, Newsweek, p. 57, August 22, 1994. Emerging Threat. Expert Meeting on Certain Weapon Systems and on Implementation Mechanisms in International Law, Report of the International Committee of the Red Cross, Geneva, Switzerland, May 30 to June 1, 1994, issued July 1994. Final Report on Biotechnology Research Requirements for Aeronautical Systems through the year 2000, vols. IN2, Southwest Research Institute, San Antonio, TX, 1982. From Russia with Love. At Los Alamos. Intelligence Report, Parade Special Supplement, 1993. German Workshop on Mechanisms of EMF Interactions, Microwave News, November/December 1991. Glenn, J.C., Conscious Technology, The Co-Evolution of Mind and Machine, Futurist, September/October 1989. Heron, Robert, Major Electronic Warfare, New Priority for Next Generation Fighters, Aerospace America, P-64, 1984. Hoff, Warren, High-Tech Civilian Control Studied, Secret Pentagon, DOJ Memo of Understanding, Non-lethal weapons under development are being added to the government arsenal in its war against its own citizens. The Spotlight, p. July 31, 1995. Asterisk. Hutchison, Michael, Megabrain Report, The Psychotechnology Newsletter. Keeler, Anna, Remote Mind Control Technology, Full Disclosure, Volume 15, pages 1-14, 1989, also published in Mike Coyle's MindNet Journal. Volume 1, No. 23a, Part I and No. 23b, Part 2, and in Resonance, Number 23, Part I, pages 3-14, February 1993 and Number 24, Part 2, pages 3-16, May 1992. Asterisk. Kelly, Jack A. and Conway, Joseph, Non-Lethal Weapons, Emerging Requirements for Security Strategy. Institute for Foreign Policy Analysis, May 1996. Kempster, Norman, Sci-Fi Comes True, Mind-Reading Machine Tells Secrets of the Brain, Los Angeles Times, March 20, 1976. Asterisk. Kroczek, Glenn, Nexus, Volume 2, Number 22, pages, October/November 1994. Kroczek, Glenn, Big Brother's Recipe for Revolution in Military Affairs, Nexus, pages 31-36, June/July 1995. Asterisk. Lopez, Ramon, Special Operations Survive Pentagon Budget Constraints, International Defense Review, Volume 26, Number 3 p. 247, December 12, 1994. McGregor, R.J., A Brief Survey of Literature Relating to Low-Intensity Microwaves on Nervous Function, Rand Report, R. 4397, June 1970. McGregor, R.J., A Direct Mechanism for the Direct Influence of Microwave Radiation on Neuroelectric Function, Rand Report R. 4397, June 1970. The electrical component of microwave radiation induces transmember potentials in nerve cells and thereby disturbs nervous function and behavior. Mackenzie, Deborah, Bioterrorism Special Report, Bio-Armageddon, New Scientist, Vol. September 19, 1998. Maddox, J., ETAL, Nature, Volume 334, No. 287, 1988. Mann, Paul, Mass Weapons Threat Deepens Worldwide, Aviation Week and Space Technology, VO. 144, Number 25 p. 58, June 17, 1996. Manning, Jean, Electronic Telepathy Device, Unnamed Source, From Angels Don't Play This Harp. Martin, Harry V. and Call, David, Mind Control, a 13-part series, The Napa Sentinel, Napa, CA 1995. Matthews, Owen, Report, Soviets Used Top Secret Psychotronic Weapons, Moscow Times, Sector 750, July 11, 1995. McAuliffe, Kathleen, The Mind Fields, Omni Magazine, pages 258 to 267, February 1985. McKinney, Julianne, Microwave Harassment and Mind Control Experimentation, Unclassified, Vol. 4, Number 3, Parts IN2, 20 PGS, June/July 1992. Asterisk. Merritt, J.H., ETAL, Some Biological Effects of Microwave Energy Directed at the Head, unpublished and unclassified abstracts circulated to conference participants. Conference was sponsored by the DOD Electromagnetic Compatibility Analysis Center, 19. Seastanek, Nicholas, The Microwave Debate, p. Metz, Stephen, and Kivit, James, The Revolution in Military Affairs and Conflict Short of War, Strategic Studies Institute, SSI, U.S. Army War College, U.S. Government Printing Office, No 1994-504-111/00089, July 25, 1994, References to Mind Manipulation. Mikrowski, Andrew, Covert Elf Warfare, Specula, formerly published as the Journal of the American Association of Metascience, p. 27, January/March 1980. Microwave Measurements, Aviation Week and Space Technology, Volume 144, Number 18 p. 73, April 29, 1996. Microwave News, May/June 1988. Military on Non-Lethal Weapons, A Very Attractive Option, Microwave News, November/December 1993. The Mind Control Papers, Freedom News Journal, 1980, ISBN 0-91550935-3. Mind Reading Computer, Futurist, p. 49, May/June 1992. Mintz, John, The Secret's Out, Covered E-Systems, in Covets Commercial Sales, The Washington Post, p. A1, A10, October 24, 1994. Misruk, Steve, Electromagnetic Effects on Human Behavior, MindNet Journal, Volume 1, Number 82, July 1996. Asterisk. Malik, Ethan, A Gentler War, The Debate Over Non-Lethal Weapons, Harvard International Review, Volume 18, Number 4 p.46, Fall 1996. Morrison, David C., Sights Unseen, A Sketch of the Pentagon's Secret Black Bases Used for Stealth Aircraft, Special Operations, and Electronic Eavesdropping Programs Emerges from a National Journal Study, National Journal, Defense Report, pages 1468 to 1472, June 4, 1988. Asterisk. Opal, Barbara, U.S. Experts, Focus Arms Control Goals, Defense News, p6, 24-30 November 1997. Opal, Barbara, U.S. Explores Mind Control Technology, Defense News, pages 4, 29, January 11 to 17, 1993. Asterisk. Opal, Barbara, U.S., Russia Hope to Safeguard Mind Control Techniques, Defense News, p4, 11 to 17 January 1993. Page, J., Tuning in on Brainwaves, Science, Volume 5, pages 88+, October 1984. Pasternak, Douglas, Wonder Weapons, The Pentagon's Quest for Non-Lethal Arms is Amazing. But is it smart? U.S. News and World Report, Special Report, Volume 123, Number 1 pages 38 to 46, July 7, 1997. Asterisk. Pengelly, Rupert, Wanted, A Watch on Non-Lethal Weapons, International Defense Review, Volume 24, Number 4p1, April 1, 1994. Perry plans to launch non-lethal warfare, Defense News, September 19 to 25, 1994. Persinger, Michael A., on the possibility of directly accessing every human brain by electromagnetic induction of fundamental algorithms, MindNet Journal, Volume 1, Number 65, June 1995. Poole, Robert, Electromagnetic Fields, The Biological Evidence, Science, Volume 249, pages 1378-1381, September 21, 1990. Posner, Michael I., Seeing the Mind, Science, Volume 262, pages 673-674, October 29, 1993. Possany, Stephen, Scientific Advances Hold Dramatic Prospects for PHYSTRAT, Defense and Foreign Affairs, Volume 34, July 1983. Ray, J., The Body Magnetic, Buzzworm, Volume 4, p. 22, September/October 1992. Ricks, Thomas E., Non-Lethal Arms, New Class of Weapons Could Incapacitate Foe Yet Limit Casualties, The Wall Street Journal, pp. A1 and A4, January 4, 1993. Asterisk. Rosenberg, Barbara Hatch, Non-Lethal Weapons May Violate Treaties, The Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists, pages 44-45, September, October 1994. Note, Rosenberg gives the full name of this treaty as Convention on Prohibition or Restriction of the Use of Certain Conventional Weapons which may be deemed to be excessively injurious or to have indiscriminate effects. Schmidt, Eric, Zany New Weapons for U.S. Team in Somalia, International Herald Tribune, February 16, 1995. Schmitz, Tom, California's Livermore Ways Plan to Use Russian Technology, The Journal of Commerce, April 8, 1993. Asterisk. Selden, Gary, Machines That Read Minds, Science Digest, October 1981. Sharp, Joseph CETAL, Generation of Acoustic Signals by Pulsed Microwave Energy, IEEE Transactions on Microwave Theory and Techniques, May 1974. Shorto, Russell, Armageddon, Killing Them Softly, Gentleman's Quarterly, March 1995. Asterisk. Still Under Wraps Aviation Week and Space Technology, pages 35+, June 7, 1993. Sweetman, Sherry, Report on the Attorney General's Conference on Less Than Lethal Weapons, U.S. Department of Justice, National Institute of Justice, March 1987. Thomas Timothy, The Mind Has No Firewall, Parameters, U.S. Army War College Quarterly, Volume 28, Number 1 pages 84-92, Spring 1998. Asterisk. Tigner, Brooks, NATO Panel to Consider Non-Lethal Weapon Guidelines, Defense News, p. 14, September 29, 1997. Tigner, Brooks, Europeans Protest U.S. Ionospheric Research, Defense News, p. 3, 16-22 February 1998. Tyler, N., Dean, David J. ed. Low Intensity Conflict and Modern Technology, Air University Press, U.S. Air Force, Center for Aerospace Doctrine, Research, and Education, Maxwell AFB, A.L., June 1986. Asterisk. U.S. nullifies Nuremberg Law, Earth Island Journal, p. 18, Winter 1996-97. Asterisk. Victorian, Armin, The Military Use of Electromagnetic, Microwave, and Mind Control Technology, Lobster, No. 34, pp. 2-7, Winter 1998, also published in Resonance, No. April 1998. Victorian, Armin, Mind Reading Computer, Time Magazine, July 1, 1974. Victorian, Armin, Neural Manipulation by Remote Radar, Resonance, No. 30, pages 25-28, March 1996, also published in Lobster No. 30. Asterisk. Victorian, Armin, Psychic Warfare and Non-Lethal Weapons. Walker, Martin, Dark Dreamer of Star Wars, May 5, 1995. Wall, Judy, Electromagnetic Weapons, Resonance, No. 29, pp. 27-33, May 1995. Asterisk. Wall, Judy, Military Use of Mind Control Weapons, Nexus, pages 11-16, October, November 1998. Unedited version originally published in Resonance, No. 33, April 1998. Asterisk. Wall, Judy, Synthetic Telemetry, Resonance No. 29, pages 17-26, May 1995. Asterisk. Wiener, Malcolm H., Chairman, Non-Lethal Technologies, Military Options and Implications, Report of an Independent Task Force sponsored by the Council on Foreign Relations released June 22, 1995. Wright, Steve, An Appraisal of Technologies for Political Control, European Parliament Scientific and Technological Options Assessment, STOA, Luxembourg, European Parliament, January 6, 1998. Important technical references. http://www.raven1.net/lida.htm. Photo and description of the Korean War Lida machine, a radio frequency brain entrainment device. http://www.raven1.net/fray.htm. Human Auditory System Response to Modulated Electromagnetic Energy, Alan H. Frey, General Electric, Advanced Electronics Center, Cornell University, Ithaca, New York. http://www.raven1.net/v2s-nasa.htm. NASA Technical Report Abstract stating that speech-to-skull is feasible. http://www.raven1.net/v2s-cone.htm. DOD/EPA Small Business Initiative, SBIR, project to study the unclassified use of voice-to-skull technology for military uses. http://www.raven1.net/bioamp.htm. Excerpts, Proceedings of Joint Symposium on Interactions of Electromagnetic Waves with Biological Systems, 22nd General Assembly of the International Union of Radio Science, August 25 to September 2, 1987, Tel Aviv, Israel. http://www.raven1.net/v2success.htm. Excerpt, Dr. Don R. Justizan, neuropsychological researcher, describes Dr. Joseph C. Sharp's successful transmission of words via a pulse-rate modulated microwave transmitter of the Frey type. http://www.raven1.net/rus.htm. FOIA article circulated among U.S. agencies describing the Russian TV program Man in Law, which gives a glimpse into the Russian mind control efforts. Dr. Igor Smirnov, a major player, was used as a consultant to the FBI at the Waco Branch Davidian standoff. http://www.raven1.net/armyparw.htm SBIR, Small Business Initiative Contract, which clearly shows intent to use ultrasound as an anti-personnel weapon, including one-man portability and with power to kill. http://www.raven1.net/acouspot.htm A page originally from the MIT Media Lab's acoustic engineer, Joseph Pompei. Describes a similar technique under commercial and military development, American Technologies Corp., San Diego, under the trade name Hypersonic Sound. Shows that sound can be focused to the extent of targeting just one person in a crowd, acoustically, using ultrasound. Cal. Synthetic Telepathy and the Early Mind Wars. http://www.earthpulse.com/epulseuploads/articles/syntelepathy.pdf